He like shoots it in the back twice. Like, my man. Must be dreaming. But this game is less Sean Connery and more hello, baby. I'll make you Randy.
I'm on a room full of multi-billion and beta points. Must be worth hundreds of millions.
Heyo. Ew. Ew. Damn, dude. What the fuck were you drinking? You rocking it. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going. Come through. Oh, shit! Attack on Titan. Yeah, I still gotta get on that. Oh shit, he's eating her butt. He's eating her butt. Don't eat my butt. Oh. That's funny. I heard that. I was like, oh shit. Like, viral one going on? Her face from inside box, scent of mommy, maybe true mother there. Stone box hard, it hurt, steel rope in the way, can't see mother because 4 stones. Yeah, not only is like half my friends' grammar bad, they also don't use punctuation. So I feel like I have to read their text like this sometimes, not naming names. Still would. Oh god.
This is why I encourage all of you. Just go out there and compliment somebody, you know? I do it all the time.
Lower difficulty? Fuck you! Well, lower these nuts onto your chin. Dicks. 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 Oh shit, he's eating her butt. He's eating her butt! Don't eat my butt.
It's the FBI, motherfucker! Open up!
Catch. Oh shit! Later, Prince. No, I did not. No, I did not. Ew. Ew. Damn, dude. What the fuck were you drinking? Thank you. Gang, gang. Gang, gang. These nuts. Gang, gang.
Fat takes a state, no!
Sucks I'm out of shotgun ammo, but there'll be more. You know? Wait, what the fuck?
I barely know you, but you seem cool. Here you go. What?
I use a voice changer to hide my identity. He's just like Ghostface. What's your favorite position?
Alpha team is flying around the forest, situated in...
Oh wow. Dude, she's like farted blood out. It was like, bleh. It was like a pool. Oh shit.
It does create even more backtracking. You can come for the price of $6.99. I mean, why can't I come and then get paid? Grandfather clock, we broke it. Stop ticking off together. Is this not the one? LMAO. I mean, look at me. I'm already a content creator.
Welcome everybody.
Not a good one, but
Let's get started. Everybody's doing well on this wonderful Monday. Where, funny enough, I'm off. Haha. But yeah. In my office. Hello. I'm not entirely sure if the ad break's actually over yet, but I don't know. I was trying something new. Like if I could just get the 3 minutes of ads out of the way, we should be good for an hour. That way I don't hear complaints every 30 minutes. What the hell? We just had a break. You know, it's fine. I get it. Blaster. Hey, what it do? I recognize that name. How you doing, bud? Are you having a great day? I'm having a pretty chill one. It was nice. I got to hang out with my mommy. I saw Porco Rosso, and I ate food. She made Chile Colorado. Delicious. And now I'm gonna shoot some zombies, the wet kind. Is that Bob Ross? It is Bob Ross. Hell yeah. Everything is on fire. Yeah, this is my apartment. Welcome to hell, motherfucker! Alright, hold on. Let me actually launch this game. Hope you're doing well. You catch Ultra Ball, a Giggleth. I love what you've done with the place. Yeah, well, in the canon, he's not here right now, but Rooster Fiend, one of my homies, he in the lore, he killed me. So he shot at Vaughn lemon wedges, and I was like, no, pretending, and I got killed. This is all happened in chat, by the way. It was pretty fun. And I died and went to hell. But through black magic that Cyberlycan did, I'm back. But because I've been here, I have like a dual residency, so I like to just set up shop here. It's hot, but the rent is amazing. But let's go. Alright, it should be okay. I had to wait for the okay, so like a gender bent Persephone? Kinda. I dig it. Hell yeah. Oh, you said you're a big Resident Evil fan, aren't you? Except you put goofy ass mods on. I haven't done that yet, but it's only a matter of time before I get like big gothy mommy Ada or something. And also, Queef Blaster is an epic name. Yeah, Resident Evil is literally like my favorite franchise, but I haven't played this one in a minute. It's been like 3 years since I played it on DS, but then I played the original one back in like 2015, something like that. So this is like a nice, this would be a nice playthrough. Oh, what? Hold on. What is this? What is happening? Can I? Okay, so it's not quite windowless, but we're fine. One second, sorry. All right, cool. You don't have any sexy mods on that? What's wrong? Oh, and that's what's wrong. Okay, that's funny. I read that wrong. I put the best mod. Yeah, no, it sounds pretty funny. Maybe when I play VR Resident Evil again, I'll do that, like some goofy shit like that. Let's do new game. Oh, select outfit. Oh, that's my problem too. I didn't buy any. All right, but let's do new game plus. Also, real quick, fucking hot in here. Let me put my AC on. Yes, I love the outfits. So the outfits are great. The outfits are where it's at. Nar. Nar. Ah, all right. New game plus. Starting game with your old weapons and equipment. Yeah. 2014. Then I guess technically 2017 was the last time I played this. Choose a cleared save data that you would like to use. That one's got the circle on it, so does that mean use that one? Equipment from this data will be carried over and you will start from the beginning. All right, Omaha, my boy. What it do, dude? Yo, what's good? What's good in the hood? You're playing Armored Core 6? Ooh, dude, how's that been? Oh, nice, and you're playing Best Metroid. Thank you for the raid. Thank you so much. Anybody new here? Potentially new. My name is Shattered Limit. I'm a variety streamer, but I'd say I have an emphasis on Resident Evil. My goal is to...
Yes.
I want to talk over you. Nice. My goal is to stream all of them, like all the spin-offs, and one day, I promise you, I'm gonna stream the Java mobile games. Isn't that right, Bongo Cat? Yeah, see, he knows. All right, let's do this. Oh, no. Yeah, pick yes. Yeah, thank you guys so much for the raid. Oh, you're playing Dread? Hell yes. No, I'm playing Resident Evil Revelations. He shattered my limits, hence my name. Queef Blaster? Ah, nice. Shatter that orifice. It looks so familiar. Yeah, no, I can actually see the Resident Evil... Wait. I could see the Metroid Dread, like, look. But I promise, this is not Metroid. This is Resident Evil. Okay. Yeah, autosave will be lost, but I think we're okay. Let me check to see I have my weapons. I don't know if I did this right. Let's do a normie. Because I had the yellow circle, so I'm assuming that's cleared save data. And even if it's a new, it's whatever. I saw the clip, lol. Oh yeah, that was your clip. That's funny. Yeah, I shouted you out. That's great. Are any of you guys Resident Evil fans? Love this shit. Hey.
Hey, Jill.
We'll leave this part out later. That was awful of me. Oh, you're fine, dude. You should see me, man. I'm like perpetually confused.
Incredible.
The Queen Zenobia.
The Queen Zenobia.
This thing is lucky to be afloat.
It's funny, he's got like a thick-ass Russian accent, but his name's Parker, right? Yay, I got a new item. Good job, buddy. It's me. What? Claire Redfield. Where's my sexy brother Chris? That's what we're trying to find out. We're gonna find that roided up psychopath.
It's been 94 minutes since Chris and Jessica dropped off the radar.
But the interpolation from their last known coordinates puts them...
Right here on this ship.
Aw, shit. You know, I love Jill, but I feel like Claire is best girl. Let me see. I don't remember the controls for this one. What's the run button? Oh shit, that's a grenade. Oops. Okay. Dang. I went new game. I meant it. Is there a run button? Sorry, guys. Rolls. Shooter? Classic. No, let's go shooter. I'm not psycho. Oh. Kills. Okay. Oh, she's already running. It's one of those. I guess if I push it lightly. Okay. See, I was playing Resident Evil like 5 and 6 very recently, so like...
I don't like the sound of that.
I have to manually run. Oh. See, and I'm already calibrated to like... want to pull out my knife. And like break boxes and shit. Alright. Also, I remember not being particularly good at this one.
It's been abandoned for a
Oh,
while.
forgive me. What's the button? What's the scanner button? That'll tell me. Sir, do you need medical assistance?
No signs of life. But I feel like something's here.
Hey,
Oh no!
I don't think we're alone.
It's just you, me, and Jill's perfect butt. What? Hmm?
There's blood coming from the ducts.
he only jacks it with one arm. Damn, Claire is the perfect ass. Oh, this is Jill. Claire too. Honestly, I think every RE Bay, you know, they're like good. Wait, this is Jill. Yeah, this is Jill. Yeah. Correctamundo.
No power, which means no elevator for us.
Have you played this one? Girl, I'm dumb as hell. Bitch, I don't know my Claires from my Jills. But it's okay, they're both hot. That's all that matters. Now I sound like a pig. You know where I'm going with this. Also, you know, like, you ever hear those arguments where, like, oh, there's no strong female characters? Bitch, Jill Valentine was there from the beginning, okay? And Samus. No. I also liked this one because this one felt like a good mix. Because this was the era when Resident Evil was fucking going like almost straight action. I feel like this was like a nice return to form. Where oh shit, that actually scared me a little bit. Where they were going like horror and action. Like it plays like the actiony ones, but it's got like the mechanics of the horror. That makes sense. I thought this was Code Veronica X. One for some reason. Oh, I was way off. Yeah, that one still, it was 3D, but that one still had tank controls. It didn't have pre-rendered graphics. You know, it's funny, I was actually playing some of Code Veronica last night on my Dreamcast. I can pull up the case if you want, but yeah, I was intending to stream that, but I was like, no, Joey, get back to your fucking schedule. Also, I feel like the field of view is really close. Like, this game's giving me tunnel vision. Either that, and I'm pretty fucking close to the monitor. Ain't that right, Bongo Cat? Yep.
Parker, give me a
Code
hand
Veronica's
here.
great, though. I really like that one.
No problem.
I'll stream it again one of these days. Because I streamed Code Veronica X on the PS2, and that game, well, it was the PS2 version on PS4, and for some reason, dude, the saturation in that game was like, it's basically black and white. And it's fuzzy, so it's hard to see anything. So I was playing on the Dreamcast, and it's way better. So part of me wants to stream that version just cause, and I could also do the because I can capture my PS3 finally. I kind of want to do the HD version of that one with the lighting that everybody hated, but I think it looks good. I don't know. Nice, it's a callback.
So, it's not Chris.
How do you know? I know that hand anywhere. That is not Chris. Nice view. Ah! Go. Okay. I want to hear about my accuracy. I know.
This explains
I know.
This is
Also,
not
their heads
good.
fucking do this constantly. Like, how the fuck am I supposed to reliably aim for this, you know? My hair is a nightmare right now. Weef, didn't you say you can get me some products? What do you recommend for this type of hair? It's a struggle every day. Episode 1, Into the Depths. It looks like Lara Croft just got teleported into RE. Yeah, honestly, I can see it too. Yes, dude. Yeah, I can see the resemblance. She does look pretty much like Lara. Oh, I like this commercial. This is about TerraSave. I think that's the name of this organization.
It took a full 11 years.
They're basically, so you know how like the BSAA is like, I don't know, it's like global SWAT to tackle BOWs. They have TerraSave, which is like Red Cross after all that bullshit happens. Let's get you some good hair shit soon. Hell yeah, brother.
Power to an entire city.
I'm down.
But
My hair,
in 2004,
like
Veltro,
I'm trying to grow it out for one, but also it's kind of like an afterthought. And I have a lot of breakage.
They not only released a virus, but also several creatures known as
Like every time I shampoo it, I feel like I have like lupus or something because like half my hair is in my hand. I'm like, oh.
This launched one of the worst tragedies the
This shit
world
is
has
actually
ever
happening
seen.
in IRL. Watch. Wait, what?
The FBC, the world's leading counter-bioterror organization operating
Are people
under the
battling
auspices
tariffs
of the
with
US,
hunters
was called
and-
in to
and- and
direct
lickers
efforts
and
to
zombies?
contain the attack. The BSAA, a counter-bioterror NGO, which operates independently of the interests of any one country, went in as observers to assist the FBC.
Remember the alien
Realizing
shit
the
in
need
Miami
for immediate
Mall
and
a few years
decisive
back?
action,
No, what are you
Supreme
talking
Global
about? That sounds
Headquarters
cool.
issued the order to use the city's solar energy matrix on itself. Media outlets around the world began to refer to the incident as the Terra Grigia panic.
Terra Grigia.
Following the incident,
I'm pretty sure that
the
was
FBC
in Resident
announced
Evil.
it has successfully disbanded the terrorist group called
Generation?
Veltro.
Damnation?
It is
One of
now
those.
2005, and a
Bruh,
sense of
I'm balls
calm
deep
and
in schizo
security is
conspiracy
finally
shit.
returning to
You
the
should
people.
talk to what's his face?
But,
Deadwolf.
As you can
Deadwolf
see,
is probably the
lost
biggest
city of Terra Grigia
conspiracy
remains
theorist
inaccessible,
I know.
a silent and potent symbol of the threat that bioterror poses for people around the world.
I remember when we were roommates, I'd be trying to like have a conversation, and somehow, regardless of what we're talking about, we could be talking about moon pies or I don't know, cats, and somehow it turns into like alien federations and chemtrails. Who's that? I must know them. Here, I'll give him a shout out. He's literally my best friend.
Ah, there you two are.
O'Brien.
Here you go. That's my boy.
Normally join the
Tell him
fray.
Shat sent you.
Well, my doctor told me I need exercise.
I need someone to bounce my crazy off of. He's pretty crazy. I think it'll work.
However, in the past few weeks, a number of mysterious carcasses have washed up.
This guy sounds like a countrier version of Grandpa Max from Ben
Anyone
10.
who knows what happened here is going to put
Or
two and
Colonel.
two together.
Colonel Campbell from
That's
Metal
why
Gear.
I've sent the BSAA in to investigate.
Also, buy that
pick
merch.
up your new
Buy that
equipment from
merch.
Yeah. Genesis or something. Is that its name?
You didn't bother to read the manual, did you?
No. I brought it with me, just in case.
Oh my god, wait, I do know him. Yeah, it's Trevor.
You're gonna need it on your
You know?
mission.
Yeah, I'm on it.
Did you go to AI? I don't remember. I went to school with him, yeah. Oh, nice. I feel like I should know that. Genesis, the nickname of a high-level bioscanner currently being tested and developed by a global pharmaceutical consortium. Biopharmaceutical Consortium. That's a dumb name. It bounces special synchrotron radiation. Synchrotron? Is that a made-up word? Radiation off of a target in order to analyze it. Viral analysis. It's possible to detect and analyze even the smallest amounts of viruses. Vaccine manufacturing. Since version 1.0.4, it has been possible to produce simple vaccines from viral analyst data. Yeah. Detection. Using synchrotron radiation, it is possible to detect specific objects. The data for bullets, medicinal herbs, etc. are registered within the internal memory for testing. It is if a detectable object is nearby, the indicator on the lower right area of the monitor will brighten up. Bet. The school. I've never seen school spelled that way, and you get props. Also, how'd you get the fucking dots, little accent marks on the U?
Ah, look at this mess. Oh, they're rotted to hell.
Oh, nice. I can hear him on my left ear, and then he's on my right ear.
Skin so pale. I've never seen anything like it.
Use the Genesis to get a reading on it.
Hold the U button. Oh, is that really it? You on mobile? Oh, wait, where's the Genesis button, bitch? Aha! Found it. Oh, I'm on my phone. Okay, yeah. That makes sense.
Keep
Keep scanning. What this one? Does this count?
On the beach and send me your data.
You know, it's gonna scan your chin. Can I scan the bird? Can I shoot the bird?
Have a look at this.
Becker! Damn it! Ooh, nice. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. What else we got? Oh shit. Looks like someone already raided the place. The FBC. Oh, fuck boy community. I don't know where I'm going with this. Metal detected.
Something.
Not
I'm
metal.
excited.
Anything but metal.
Careful now.
Don't worry, I've done this before.
That's why my responses are somewhat delayed. Oh no, you're fine. I'm actually used to like talking in a delay here. Oh, that's what she said.
I've got something.
Nice.
What is this?
Ew, yeah.
If it's an
Dude, and they're not even wearing
engineering
gloves. They're
system,
touching like bio stuff. They're like, oh, come on, come from a fucking
I'll run some
a
tests.
bioorganic whatever, and they're just like
Continue with the investigation.
they're just like lifting it up. I'm like, don't fucking touch it. And this is what Maria did in Bloodborne. Dude, Bloodborne's actually on my list of things I want to play.
That's where.
And of all the Souls games, like if I had to pick one, that's the one that I do want to play, just because I like the aesthetic. I like that gross London look, you know? Everybody has like gross Cockney accent. Like they're like, hello, my name is bleh. That's what they all sound like to me. Well, remember what Jill just did here? And then you meet Maria, you'll know what she did. Okay, just touches chef with her hands. It doesn't seem like these are people that deal with like viruses and bacteria. She's like, let me just put my raw hands on it. Ah! Oh wait, let me scan it alive. Oh shit! Kill it! Kill it! You dead? It's my vagina.
After Raccoon City,
Gnarly.
must be a cakewalk.
I suppose.
I was wondering where that went.
So why'd you quit the FBC for this
Where
outfit?
did my vagina go?
I wanted to be more involved.
Where'd I put
I wanted to
it?
fight.
I see you two are okay.
Hold on, retrace your steps.
Continue with the investigation.
Where was the last time you had it?
Extreme caution. We don't have enough data to run a complete.
I scanned all of this, right?
Gather some more samples from the carcasses. On
Oh
the
no,
beach.
my BFF Jill. Jill's a babe. Like, I remember the first time I played this, and I am being gross. I was a little distracted because of her amazing butt. I'm just like looking at the lower left constantly. Motherfucker!
That smell must have ruptured from gas.
Christ, what a mess.
Mongo Cat, what do you think about Jill's butt? I know, right? Yeah, he knows. He knows. My boy BC over here. What's on the pier? Nice, nice. Perfect is the only answer. It is pretty perfect. Oh shit, there's more. Did I scan that? Did I? Nope.
I've collected enough
Hell yeah,
samples.
brother.
Good. Get him to me ASAP.
Join up with O'Brien. Alright, see you in a minute. Oh wait, whoa. Scan complete. We'll do a new scan. The newspaper from last year is the first article bringing the existence of BOWs to the public. Queef. QB. Q Blaster. Well, I'm just keep calling you Queef because I love it. But what's your favorite Resident Evil? Because you strike me as a fan too. There's a secret that if you go to the end of the pier, Cthulhu comes out and tentacle rape you looking for his pearls. Well, don't threaten me with a good time. Let's go. Just kidding. I've seen enough hentai to know where this is going. Oh, then after Daddy is born. Oh, nice. Ah! Parker, what are you waiting for, motherfucker? Shoot. Parker, what are you paying you for? Buy the bullet? Go. Wait, what was your question again? Oh, what's your favorite Resident Evil? That's a hard question for me to answer, to be honest. If you ask me now, I might say the remake of 1. Or original 2.
Nice work.
Or even remake 2. I don't know. They're all great to me. 0 or 1. 0 is one of your favorites?
And I bet it's no coincidence.
I streamed 0, and for some reason it was that time. I think so. I like it a lot. I like it. I didn't like it as much this last time I played it. It's just the fucking inventory system so goddamn clunky.
Huh? It's the emergency line.
I like how it plays into puzzles, but if they just gave both of these motherfuckers just like 2 extra slots, the game would have been over like 3 hours sooner. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's fine.
But I like the story. The girl Becky's in there, and I love Becky.
Starting now.
Yeah, I love it because of how it connects perfectly with 1. Yeah. It does a good job. You know, it's funny when you play the original 1, right? I love Rebecca. Yeah, Rebecca's a babe. She's also like, dude, Resident Evil has some of the best, like, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to be gross here, but it really does have like just some wonderful female characters. Like that aside, I think they're just really compelling characters. Where it's like there's no real like love interests. It's all done by like respect and like being on the job, you know. Like there's no will they won't they with Jill and Chris. It's just these are fucking partners, you know. I don't know. I like it.
I'll go back to HQ.
Yeah, Chris and Leon are the best girls.
You two will be my eyes out there.
No, I like. There's a lot to like with 0. Well, I was gonna say with the original 1, even remake of 1, they're like, oh, the virus escaped, and how did it happen? And then 0 comes out, and they're just like, Marcus leaked it. I was like, okay, you want to give us details? No. Like I feel like we still need 1 more Resident Evil prequel. We need a Resident Evil 0.5, like 0.5. It was the Dark Lord Ashley Graham from 4. Oh yeah, we were talking about Ashley when we were hanging out, weren't we? Yeah. SSA. Fuck you. Let me save it. I'm gonna go here just to be safe. Oh yeah, brother. Can I move these? Oh, I can. Let me copy you. Put you there. Yeah. And then I'm gonna copy you. Put you there. I like organization. I'm gonna copy you. Put you there. Oh. And then delete you. Delete it. She's the reincarnation of Mother Miranda. Watch it become canon. Dude, I wouldn't be. Dude, you do know you're fucking Resident Evil. Hell yeah. When I get to streaming, so I don't know if you were. No, you weren't here. But I was streaming Resident Evil 2 remake in VR, and that was a fun time. It's just like I had like a weird like not injury, but like my neck was like just fucked up for like 2 weeks. So I was like, let me not wear the headset, and I kind of just fell off on that. But when I get to Resident Evil 7, I'm gonna finish that playthrough. But then also I'm gonna get to Resident Evil 7 and then 8. I'm gonna play those in VR. Ass is your score. Oh shit! You're right. Nice. Oh wow, I missed that. I was like SSA. God damn it! But no, it's ASS if you read it this way. So you have a keen eye for details, Queef. Queen Zenobia.
These things got to Chris and Jessica?
Chris and Jessica?
I hope not.
Hey, no one's saying Chris is dead.
All right, then let's find him already.
You hear that? Is that the lock?
Let's do it.
I'll check it out.
Okay.
There's more to scan in here.
Copy that. I'll radio you if I pick up Chris's trail. This thing has a lot of similarities to the corpses on the beach.
How's your night going, Queef? Hope you're having a good one. That's a sentence I didn't expect to say. What's up, Queef? How you doing? What? Oh. I already scanned you. I already scanned you! Oh, there's more over there. He's holding something. It's going good. Awesome. I'm chilling watching Digimon. Which series? Or movie? I've only seen up to Frontiers. I thought that was kind of underrated. Frontiers was great. And you, of course. Hell yeah, brother. Hope I'm not distracting you too much. Yeah, I haven't really watched a series of Digimon in a minute. There was a girl I dated for like 15 minutes, it seems. And we were both geeking about Digimon. And I was going through the series. She got a nice booty. Yeah, dude, I was literally just saying that. What up, Cash Cow? No, I was just saying. I was like, the first time I played this, I was distracted because my eye was glued to the lower left of the fucking screen. It's the movie Try One Reunion. Oh, okay. Dude, I haven't seen those yet, dead ass. I know, right? You're funny, Cash Cow. You haven't played this before, have you, huh? You're reliving it. It is... Hold on, Jill. Just bear with me for a second. She do got a nice ass. You're funny. Yeah, you missed it. I don't know if you're here like 20 minutes ago. That was literally going through the spiel. Yeah, I never saw the Try movies, but I wanted to. They did a limited run here where I wanted to see it in theaters, but I missed out. Can you make her squat? No. Does she know? Does she, how you say, twerk? I imagine she's done a twerk or two in her off hours. She's not all work, you know? I will say though, dude, mommy can hop over a building with this fucking cake she's rocking over here. Boots. She hit the flow. Trying to get low. Every game needs twerk dancing, no exceptions. Yeah, like where's the twerk button? I can totally see Jill knocking zombies out with her ass cheeks. Or I know, right? Like, what's her face from Street Fighter? Mika something? The wrestling bitch. It's fucking butt blast a motherfucker. That's how I want to go. I got New Game Plus weapons, bitch! Oh, I should have scanned you, though. Oh, there's more to scan here. Where they at, though? Where they at, though? Where they at, though? Also, Cash Cow, I'll Venmo you tonight. Thanks again. I'm glad Travis is coming. I wish other people would, too. I'm surprised, Chaz hasn't said anything. I know he's a Marvel guy, and so Steve. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna worry about it. Nah. Yeah, I'm gonna Venmo you anyway. Beer also works. Why not both? Why not Zoidberg? Dang, they got shit all over the place here. Like, there should be a mod where she's just walking around with her hands and knocking bitches out with her cheeks and bullets torpedo out of her ass. You're having a party. Yeah, we're gonna go see Thunderbolts. Why not Zoidberg? Why not Jill Valentine? Honestly, this might be my favorite Jill. And yes, it is for gross reasons. Place is a mess. Oh, you don't say. I guess it's in the other room. I'm just being thorough. There it is. A green herb. When I was a kid, I said herbs because I didn't know. Actually, the word herb, I learned that through Resident Evil because I played this way young and I was like 6. I remember my sister, she played Resident Evil, right? And I was watching her. I remember the music and then the sounds of the zombies scared me. So I'm just being a little fucking 6-year-old pussy being like, can you turn it down? Do you need assistance? No! She's the tits and ass of this, aside from Jill. Alright, bye Rachel. I think that's Rachel. Da 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 da. It's the motherfucking... Oh, da 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 da. It's the motherfucking D-O-double-G. It's what always plays in my head each time I find green herbs. Nice. Snoop Dogg. She's like, no, I'm having a good time. Da 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 da. It's like that. Oh, can I? Oh, can. Damn it. Wait, for real? Hold on. Sorry, Rachel. I think it's Rachel. I think it's her name. Rachel something. She's in just this game. Select. Okay, it is. Oh, okay. Now what? Am I literally just maxed out? I forget how the system works in here. Like, how do I heal? Like, where's the use herb button? Oh, alright. And I'm full, so it won't let me. But I'll come back for you. Sorry. Bitch. Hold on. Wait. Okay.
What's going on?
I found a survivor. The BOW's got her, though.
Who was she?
I'm still trying to piece that together.
I like how she doesn't know her fucking partner's partner. Oh, sorry, scanned at 100%. And then what do? Do I redeem it? Targeting's full. Oh, it's not gonna give it to me because I have full herbs. I'm so tight. No. Her boobies. They're broken. Quarters area key. Also, Bongo Cat got a gift. I don't know if you saw that. Let me get it. Oh my god, it's the dude from The Shape of Water. You know, I never saw The Shape of Water. It's pretty much Ape Sapien fucking that one chick, right? That's what I imagine.
I couldn't find anything out on the woman, but I did find a key.
Let's try it out. I'll meet you in the Chris's room. See you there.
Da 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 da. Snoop Dogg. Da 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 da. Got Bongo Cat. Bongo Cat's a real one. Oh, nice. I think it was a critical. Tight. I melt when I see Jill's ass too. I get it, buddy. I get it. Okay, I thought they were gonna try and corner me. Okay, and they sound scary when they're like, bah! And they just melt. Yeah, its inventory's full. Yeah. Also, I played this on 3DS. It still holds up. Like, it's a great 3DS game. And it looks almost this good, too. Like, I don't know how they managed to squeeze all that in a fucking, like, what, 256 megabyte cartridge? This game makes me think of how amazing Parasite Eve remake would be in today's world. Bro, you are speaking my fucking language. I love Parasite Eve. Hey, actually, I wanted to stream that during Christmas time because it's a Christmas game. I just didn't get around to it, and the only Christmas games I streamed was Sly Cooper, but that's for personal reasons. I wouldn't call it a Christmas game, but it's like my favorite Christmas gift. And then Dead Rising 4, which just didn't fucking end. Wait. Am I forgetting something? What's my go to the room Chris was in? Oh yeah. Also, the music for Parasite Eve is like a 10 out of 10. Ah! Damn, really? Man, New Game Plus kind of broke this shit. I should put it on harder difficulty. Na-da-da-da-da. It's the J-I-double-L. Jill Valentine. La-da-da-da-da. Dude, I don't know if you're into Lady Gaga, but I'm totally convinced her new album theme is very Parasite Eve. Wait, is it really? I'm not into Lady Gaga per se. You know Frank, right? He fucking loves Lady Gaga. I'm pretty sure that's like his favorite artist. Not even exaggerating. But if it sounds like Parasite Eve, I'm down to give it a listen. Some of that music fucks. Keep your head still. Oh, really? Abracadabra, watch the music video? I will. Who I never guessed. I wouldn't have either. Because he's such like a man's man, right? He's like, oh, he likes Lady Gaga. Each their own. La da 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 da. How do I get over there? I'm going my way. I am. It's down here.
Dude.
Oh shit.
Come on, we gotta help Chris.
Did he get you too? Yeah, he did.
Chris! Chris?
Ah!
What is this?
It's low poly Chris.
Oh, great.
Oh no!
It's a trap.
It's time you learned the truth.
Ah, shit. He knows your name. He knocked the highlights out of her head. He knocked the highlights out of her head. Kassa! Sorry, I'm not a speedrunning game. Goddamn. BSA.
Previously on Resident Evil
I forgot about these.
Revelations.
We lost contact with Chris and Jessica.
The signal was lost over the ocean.
Queen Zenobia.
Right here on this ship.
Signs of
Fuck,
life.
is this a soap opera? Kind of. Resident Evil's basically anime now at this point, but this one, because it's because this was the 3DS game that they HD'd, right? But because of its portable nature, they thought it'd be best to create it episodically. So that was the main reasoning behind that. So it's like, you know, you play for half an hour, go to class or whatever, and you come back and it's like, previously on Resident Evil, like, you know, it does that.
It's Valentine.
And then Revelations 2 literally was episodic. It was like how those Telltale games do it, where it's like they'll release a game or an episode, and then like a month later they do the next episode, and then a month later they do the next episode. That's how they released it. Was it months or was it weeks? Might have been weeks. I forget how often. But yeah, Revelations 2 was like you actually had to download each episode. This one they just structure it like it's fucking Supernatural or something. I hate that shit. Hell no. I don't mind it, especially with something like this. Also, look, I get it, girl. You got a lot going on, but I think look, you're literally in Antarctica. You might want a bit more than fucking pantyhose.
I certainly hope so. My feet are killing me.
Our source indicates the camp is on the far side of this peak.
Arnar. Oh, never gets cold. It's because she's so hot. Sorry.
For so long.
Cardi B. Is that an actual quote? The only thing I can think of Cardi B is what's the reason? What was the reason, bitch? That's the first thing that pops in my head when I think of Cardi B.
Crashed.
That and WAP.
The intel we got on Veltro was on the money. Come on.
Jesus. No one could have lived.
Rabska has been caught. Oh man, nice. Dude, dry automating this was awesome. Oh no. You think I can scan up there? Okay, we're good. We're Gucci. What was the reason? Oh, and another thing that I think of when I think of Cardi B was the coronavirus. It's getting real, or something like that. I don't remember what she was yelling, but it was something like that. On handling the new prototype, there will be a new prototype introduced on this mission. All mission, are you talking to me or whoever receiving this message? All mission participants are urged to use extreme caution. Handling the special prototype, all instructions by the handler must be followed to the letter. In the event of an emergency, follow the contingency guidelines in the hazards and emergencies manual. Once the prototype abilities have activated, it will be impossible to control them. The proscribed sedative must be administered every hour during transport. While it is possible to control the special prototype, its behavior in the field cannot be accurately predicted. When control is no longer viable, please contact HQ on the dedicated line. I can just hear her cackling, laughing in my head. Yeah, basically. And also, didn't she go like skirt and shit like that? Like makes bird noises? I don't know. I can't do it, but I just hear like her like noises. Coronavirus. Some more. What's the reason? Do I have to shoot it, or can I like pull my knife out? Oh, Kurt. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Also, I think she rolls her R's. I can't do that, but I know she does that a lot. What? Yeah, I know.
We should check out the plane more thoroughly. See what we find.
So easy to you. Easy for you to say. Where the fuck is this bitch going? Come here. Rachel. Where's Rachel? Are you stuck on something? You are, bitch, come here. Doing? Oh. Won't work without a key. Okay, now will you follow me?
We should check out the plane more thoroughly.
Oh, all right.
See what we find.
Fine. Fine. What do you want me to find? Oh. Damn, that's a sexy looking character. Hey, what up, Scott? Yeah, it is, right? You know what's funny? Me, I think Queef over here to an extent, and then Cash Cow. We all acknowledged Jill's butt. You missed it. But the bottom of your tongue on the... I know, dude. I've been through this. You think you're the first person to tell me how to roll my R's? I can't do it. I'm also tongue-tied. I think that has something to do with it. The buck to the... You start calling me by my name? I mean, I was like, I call you Scott all the time. No, I was talking about how to interact with Jill's ass. Oh! Oh, here's I'm gonna interact with Jill's ass. Oh, man. What are you up to, Rooster? You dead name me, how dare you?
Check out the plane more thoroughly.
I mean, is it dead naming you if that is your current name? You're good though, buddy. Is there more for me to look at? Yeah, that's fair. Just chilling and vibing. Hell yeah, brother.
I found some faint traces of a virus here.
I'm trying to get back into my Resident Evil
Do you really think we're dealing with
schedule. I almost streamed a completely different game today. I almost streamed
Terra Grigia, though.
another VR game, funny enough, but that's a secret. That's a secret, but it does look pretty dope. Flight plan.
The manifest
I like
should
that
give us
movie.
a lead to work
Okay,
with.
no, I don't.
Let's see.
Playing with New Vaughn. You won't play with me. Who was New Vaughn again? I forget.
This mine should take us there.
That's funny. New Vaughn. What was New Vaughn again? Oh, it was your little pet in that one game, right? Theo is a comedian. Yes. Oh, Theo Vaughn. Oh, I see what you did there. Little insect friend I made. Yeah, I remember. What game was that again?
This cave is too cold.
Also, let me give you a shout out, buddy. Also, let me do shout outs real quick. So, not Theo Vaughn, Lame Vaughn. Yeah. Bitch Vaughn. No. Everybody, Rooster Fiend is one of my best boys. He's a good boy. He streams, he plays lots of stuff, plays a lot of Rainbow Six, Fallout, you know. He's a variety streamer for the most part, I'd say, but he's a good dude. And god damn it, if you're not following him, what are you? Oh god, I love that clip. It's a good clip. The clip still hurts. I believe it. A hoe, yeah. Speaking of hoes, here's Lemon Wedges. Another one of my best friends. He streams random and sporadically. A lot of shooters for the most part. This is RoboCop. I love this game. He was outside of the goddamn map. Oh, is that what killed you? You got killed by somebody out of the map? That's dirty. The game literally trolled me. Well, you're playing on like big dick mode, right? Like the hardest one, realistic, I think is what they call it. This next one is Angel Baby Girl, one of my homegirls. Great streamer. I think she's getting back to streaming in a week or so. She's been sick, but she's coming back. She streams a lot of horror. So she was doing Silent Hill 2 remake. She was doing Dead Rising Lux remaster, whatever they call it. Yeah, this is her. Trying to get her affiliated. So if anybody out there isn't following her, then you're fucking up. Because she's awesome. Kill it! Oh yeah, realism. The man doth approach. I remember that puzzle too. I want to follow all the sexy boys. So when you invite me to parties, I've already warmed up all up. Okay, yeah. There you go. And then who else is trying to get affiliated? Oh, Solid 101. Here's my boy, Dontre. He also is a relatively new streamer, trying to get affiliated as well. He streams a lot of RPGs, Nintendo, Tekken. Whoa, let me know when you find some sexy dudes. All right, where's his clip? Come on, sidekick. Yeah, he's my sidekick. He's my friend, but he's also my sidekick. Don't let him lie to you. Oh. A solid not get a clip? Okay, I gotta do it to where it cues. Yeah, he was playing Silent Hill Remake too. We can circle back to that clip. Ubisoft was wrong for that. Yeah, we can.
Break the TV now.
Sorry it didn't go well for you, buddy.
Your thermal underwear.
Yeah, this is Dontre, Solid 101 Gaming. He's awesome. Putting a dude outside like the map like that, yeah, that's pretty fucked up. Like, was it a glitch? First, hey Paul, my boy, how you doing, buddy? I'm doing shout outs. Oh, here's also another friend of mine. Earth Brooks, 45. A trolley fella, but a great dude. Doesn't stream as often as he should. I miss you, man. I miss you.
Probably even better.
Lots of indie games, and he's an indie game developer himself. So if you want to check out him, I recommend it. Also, give his game a shot. Wishlist it. LOL, but I don't leave no crumbs. Nope. He's meant to be there looking through a little window that you can't get through. It's one of those things that you would only know he's there after he kills you. Beginner's traps. That's pretty fucked up. Dirty.
Hey, did you hear that?
That sounds sexy. What up, Paul? How you doing, man?
I think they're infected. Be careful, Jessica.
I think they're infected. That's funny.
This is why I like Chihuahuas.
Like the ribs are exposed. They have red eyes. There's a hole in them. Literally.
Was the plane
Queef Blaster is an A+ username. Yeah, honestly, props for that one. That's a good one.
back from the dead.
Yeah. We have to stop them before anyone gets hurt.
It is a pretty good fucking username. Queef Blaster is what I call my micropeen. Hell yeah, brother. Well, let me go to the box first. Girth, you are perfect for me. I wish this game had a knife. I don't think this game has the knife. I think I'm stuck having to waste my ammo. My lips part and whisper for you. No box. The box. Oh, yeah, the box isn't. That's funny. Are we trying to get gross with it? Little cardboard boxes. What's in the box? What's in the fucking box? I like that part. What's in the box? What's in the goddamn box? I like that part. He's like losing it. No! No! That's all on 7. Oh shit! It was just a gust of air and the smell of tuna. Nice. Joey, I redid my stream setup last night and I added a little surprise for you. Oh shit! Well, when you stream it again, I'll try and catch it. Queef, does it smell like tuna and taste like pennies? Oh, they do jump. Oh shit! Probably soon, or maybe never. I don't know yet. Hey. Miss you, man. I genuinely enjoy your streams. They're just never announced and they're random, so I miss them. Isn't that right, Bongo Cat? See, Bongo Cat agrees. Wait, what's up, buddy? He says... What? Oh, he says he loves you. He misses you. And, he likes your peen. Wait, Bongo Cat? Really? Learn something new every day. Yeah, I don't have a schedule. I just go live when I feel like it in my soul. Yeah, yeah. Feel that. Bitch. Oh, shit. Okay. Ads can eat my ass on Twitch. I need to work the corner so I can go ad free. Oh, I feel it. I mean, do you have to work the corner for $5.99 a month? For little old me? Wait, what? Oh, I was kidding. Oh, dude. Thank you, Paul. That's really nice of you. You didn't have to do that. Paul, I'm a hawk too. Don't make me hawk too. I'll fucking do it. LMFAO. Shit, BB, I'll be your corner. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. What just happened to me? I don't know if you're here or if you're in ads still. Can you hear me? Because if you can't hear me, Paul gifted you a sub. So for a month, you can watch me without ads.
Was what? Stay focused.
If you can even hear me right now.
She was your partner before, right?
Yeah, my partner from before. What about it?
I want to be your partner.
I was, you know, just asking.
Bro, I think Rachel likes you, Chris. You're in, bro. I can be your hero, baby. That's all I know. I don't know the rest of the words. And Ricky. I love your mole. Oh, sorry, you're not in ads anymore? So yeah, that's what you can't take my breath away. That's right. Oh my god. Ben and Pete has been caught. Fuck yeah! More ads? Wait, really? Hold on. Wait, for real? You're getting ads after a sub? Becky, look. Oh my god. Becky, look at her butt. Okay, I see what's happening. I'm not. Okay, good. Was that just a preemptive? Oh my god. I'm asking if that's what this means. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No more ads? Yeah. Yeah, for a month as of today. So the 28th of next month is when it should expire. So you have free ad or ad free, at least here you do. To be subbed, I'm a new girl here. Welcome in, girl. Girth, you own my existence. Do with me as you will. I oblige. Uh-oh.
Chris!
Oh shit.
Are you okay?
Got the fucking handgun. Chris, get the fuck up. He's married, by the way. Oh yeah, do the do those work here? I forget. Dry's not here.
Hold on, I'll be right there.
Oh yeah. Tight.
Me and my sweet ass are on the way.
Your ass is pretty sweet. Balto. Hold on, wait. He's married, by the way. That's okay. God, I've been wanting to use that joke again. Yeah, I know, right? I'm a part-time worker myself. The game to the streets. I have Balto on VHS. Let's watch it right now. Movie night. Oh shit. Stop! Hey, what up, Rachel? Bitch, help me up! You put this Balto on your chin. Oh, nice.
Thanks.
Guy's doing his job lately instead of mod twitching, Twitch modding.
Sorry to
God
bring
damn,
this
dude.
up again, but
Can't fucking read.
Bring what?
do
I do not like
trust
it.
me as much as Jill?
There's no need to compare. I trust you both. Besides, trust is built through actions, not words.
That's so like you, Chris. It's always about the job, isn't it?
Not gonna lie. Rachel could get it. Only if you're Jenny. Go, Jesus, Joey's dyslexic is awful today. Yeah. Dyslexia. It is bad today. You know what? I don't gotta put up with this shit. Here, I'll be good. 10 tongue twisters. I'll crush it. Jenny. I don't know what that means. Hey, that noise, it sounded like the smoke detector here.
Look, is that the airstrip?
That's their hideout.
Oh wow. When the audio kicked in, threw me off. Joey's jury duty juxtaposes a jailhouse jackrabbit.
Chris here.
Read that in one go, I dare you. I did okay. Joey's jury duty juxtaposes a jailhouse jackrabbit.
Interference here killed our signals. Brad Valcoin and Mock Airport.
Joey's jury duty juxtaposes a jailhouse jackrabbit.
It's all a setup. What do you mean?
I sent Jill and Parker to the Mediterranean on faulty intel, and now I've lost contact.
I think I got the inflection right. Oh, maybe like, no, it's juxtaposes.
What's going on?
You eat pussy like that?
Chris, you better look.
No.
At this.
I pussy like this.
It's impossible.
Just kidding.
O'Brien, you're not gonna like
You reckon
this.
Joey jizzed in the jail?
Found the Veltro crest.
Then stories of the resurrection are true. If that's the case,
Then the setup that got Jill and Parker. It was all.
yeah, I'd almost guarantee it.
O'Brien, we'll go after Jill and Parker.
No, pussy scares me. So I just saw. Wait, hold on. No, pussy scares me, so I just swat at it with my hands like a cat and a ball of yam. Ball of yarn is what you meant.
Idea what's going on.
Dude, even for you, that looks like a M. That looks like an M. It's a ball of yam. I know it was yarn, but it looked like an M to me. Maybe I am dyslexic. CSA. What'd I get? What'd you get, boy? Ooh, a top hat. Let's switch it. Hold on. Let's mix it up here. Maybe? No. Maybe? Fuck you. What should you get? Should you get the bomb, a beer? I like the straw hat. Let's do a top hat. Oh shit, red or blue? Let's do red. Bless me with a leaf from a god tree. It's okay, Joey. You don't have dyslexia. You have daily sex. Fuck, do you hear that from? That'd be nice. Does that mean we'd be scissoring? It's the word rearrange, you dingus. No, I got it. I was trying to yes and you in a way. I was joking. Daily sexist. Like, I know. I got your fucking joke. Yes.
Parker.
Where are you?
Look at that static. It's like going sideways for some reason.
Somewhere on the
That was the worst yes and I've ever been part of. Shame. No, these nuts gonna shame your chin.
Can you reach HQ?
No, comms are out, it seems. We should regroup.
Okay, escape the room. Escape rooms are fun. I've only done one. You know what's funny? So the one escape room that I did, everybody was being little pussies, right? I'm like, oh, we need to get the code. We gotta look into the thing. We gotta get in the little furnace and then do this and that. And then like everybody was like too afraid to do anything. And I was like, we're fine. We're not in fucking danger. So there was one where it was the Saw one, right? So I guess it was supposed to be spooky. And I just took charge. Like I just seen all the movies. I was really like high on fucking Saw. And I was like, okay, you do this, get that number. I'll go over here. I'll hold it. You read the you give me the code, and then we'll go from there. Like that kind of stuff. And then by the time we were done, I was told I brought structure to the group, and it was like one of my proudest moments. I want to do an escape room. Wait, on. Joey, one of these days we're gonna get married. Shit. I want to do an escape room so bad. Not me. We'll let you try to escape from the basement. Nice. Screwed in pretty tight. Nice. Being tight. What up, Joe? Oh, hold on. Where's the there's like a screwdriver or something I find somewhere. I channel my alter ego, Christy, with with a sexy final girl who's big boobs, and I would literally lead us to victory. I didn't know you had a. I want to stay in this basement. I didn't know you had an alter ego. Is that your stage persona? Like Sasha Fierce? LMFAO, just big tittied for no reason. There's always a reason. Best viewers? What? Fuck off, charging track. Stockholm Syndrome? You mean true love? You guys are funny. You. The toilet reminds me of when I had roommates in art school. My basement is dingy as fuck. Does your basement look like this? This fucking room? I'm a gutter witch. Ah! Oh boy. Okay, I have to wait for an attack. Hit me! Hit me! Idiot. Oh, look, he's got a little fucking poopy butt. Poopy butt. Nice. Just kidding. Let's go. Doing this right? Also, what game is this? This is Resident Evil Revelations, my boy. This was a 3DS game. Oh shit. I don't have a gun. Alright. Fuck. Hey, how do I dodge?
Jill, you can't fight without a weapon.
No fucking shit.
Do your best to dodge.
But I always remember what my mama told me. One man's trash is another man's treasure, so I always remember to sit on the curb and wait for my prince. Aww. That's just nasty. Ah! Get off, Jill. It should be me. Do I have the doohickey? I don't have the scanner. That's final girl energy. Right. Final girl. So you talk about fun. What's your favorite horror? What's your favorite scary movie? Leave me alone. I don't want trouble. I always remember what my mama told me. You're a disappointment, but at least I have 2 sons. You guys are on a roll. That was pretty good. Oh, I need the shotgun. It's a callback. But I don't know how to dodge right. Let me see that. There's no... No! Wrong button! No! Trying to see where dog... There it is. What? Okay, press L up or L down with A with the right timing right before naming. Okay, okay. Jay grew up? That was before Jay grew up and got his awful taste, right? Jay grew up? Nice, touche. Run, bitch, run! No more. Fuck off. Bye. Oh shit. Damn it, give me a fucking gun. LMFAO. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Locked. Anchor mark. Some more ammo. It's locked to helm mark. Can you mod this so Jill has boobies so big you can see side boobs from this angle? Probably. I would bet money that there's a mod like that. There's always a mod like that, especially with Resident Evil. Oh shit. Hey, Parker.
Are you okay?
Give me a gun.
I'm fine, but the ship's crawling with BOWs.
I want to visualize.
Okay. We're going to
I want to
need our
visualize her
weapons.
as me, but she's missing that core detail.
Here, but I couldn't reach them.
The side
We'll be
boobs?
okay as long as we work together.
Yes. Well, be the change you want to see in this world.
There are more creatures this way.
I'll mod
Found
this
though.
for you.
Think we can use it?
Yeah, it just might do the trick.
Obviously. Botany. Plants with medicinal properties, 3rd edition. Humans have been using plants to heal wounds and cure diseases ever since ancient times. An example of one of these types of plants is an herb that grows wild in the Arklay Mountain area. The bright green herb is not only heals fatigue, but it also helps to strengthen the natural healing process so that wounds heal faster. In addition, it has an active immune function that can be extremely useful against viral infection. The medicinal applications are vast. Applications are vast, and they are already starting to be used in the field. Please consider supplying yourselves with these herbs in order to protect yourself and your family from the recent threat of bioterrorism. Thank you, God. It's the Hollywood plant. It makes you immortal. Is that really a thing? I never heard of it before. Hollywood plant. Uh oh.
The weapons I found are just up ahead.
I thought that killed somebody. Did it? No. It makes you immortal. Oh. I thought that was baby blood or whatever. Don't they like fucking like get like baby blood transfusions now? Sorry, Parker. Quit sucking. Oh shit. God damn it. Wrong way. Ah! Okay. Run for it! No! No! Bitch! Oh. I'm a lady. Don't touch me. Fucking game. With the goddamn weapons. Por favor. Por favor. Oh. Makes you into a vampire. Oh shit.
They're in here.
I'll be a vampire. Team Edward up in this bitch. I hope you're having a good time, Shouty. I'm having a great time. I hope you're having a decent night. I miss you. Damage 1. Let's go. First of all, which one do I have equipped? Is this one? Oh, this is a lot. Nope, wait. A range? Who do I? Oh. You doing this right? I was trying to put enemy into a daze by 100%. Yeah, dude, I have like the best gun now. I have the best gun. You can ask anybody. My gun's the best. I don't say it, but everybody else does. Sorry, I hate him too, but it's okay. Do me a favor and research what Hollywood is. Read about the plant. Read its characteristics and history with vampires in mind, and it will start to click. I have a cough from being sick. I can't seem to get rid of. Aww. Here. Mwah. Okay. Take 2 of those and call me in the morning, okay? Wait, and research what Hollywood is. This an actual Hollywood plant or Hollywood plant? Denki got. Let me Google it real quick. Let me just tab this over, okay? Denki, yeah. As I said, thank God. Hollywood plant. Hollywood plant is an evergreen shrub known as the Heteromelis arbutifolia, commonly called toyon. All right, I'll look into it. No, on your own time. It's a mistletoe. Oh, okay. So it's poisonous? No. All right, on it. Thanks for the tip. I like looking into stuff like that. Very, very interesting. C356 M92F. I'll take a Beretta. Cool. All right, whatever. All right, fucking zombies. Got another thing coming. Back to looking though. I'm gonna read for a little bit and try to sleep. I don't know if my parents are coming back tomorrow or not, but I want to have the house clean a little. Okay. All right. Well, I hope you have a great rest of your night. Thank you for lurking. I hope you feel better. Sorry you're feeling down. What are you reading? Yeah, what are you reading?
We got our equipment. Now what?
Now we contact HQ and tell them what the hell is going on.
We should be able to do that from the bridge. Let's go.
Oh, wrong button. Shit. God damn it.
This is the room I was stuck in. By the way, what's the deal with that guy in the gas mask?
What's the deal with the guy in the gas mask? It's poisonous to humans. Yes, it's like randomly. It's a great source of nutrients for everything else under the dome. Yeah, it's poisonous to us. The skeptic in me says, "Nar." My Nancy Drews are quivering. Nar. Do you have a stroke while typing that? I had a stroke while reading it. I gotcha. I was picking up what you're putting down. It just took me a minute. That was my Tourette's. This is locked, right? Yeah. Other side. Bring it on, motherfuckers. Welcome to hell, motherfucker. Wait, do you really have Tourette's? I don't think so. I think he's goofing. If you do, I'm sorry. When it's convenient. Ah! So sometimes you're blasting out both ends. If it brings you joy, yes. Custom parts. What? Wait, am I missing something? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? It says it's in here. What? Okay, if not, I don't know. Good answer.
Things are hiding everywhere.
Must have been in the other room. There's a hidden object in here somewhere. On the fucking roof? Where is it? Where are you? Here. Oh, alright, well, fuck me then, I guess. Oh. It's in the box. Is it the box on the table? No, because it would have the little reticle on it. It would let me scan it like everything else, you know? Like it would be. Oh! Found it. How do I get that? Hang on. It's on a different floor. That's cheap. Pandora's box. Nice. Come on, Jill's box. What? You on another floor too? Probably, actually. I think it is second floor. All right. Coming in, yeah. Don't have the key, but I just want to do it anyway. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm backtracking. Squiate empache. Yep. Hand grenade, nice. So I can waste that too. Honestly, New Game Plus is kind of, like I said, it's kind of breaking the difficulty. Not complaining, but just be aware. I have like end game weapons. But I like the worst accuracy. Oh, there's more? Where? Where is it, boy? Where is it? There it is. Ah! Gotti! They're worth more if you scan them alive. Don't worry, Parker, I got it. It's only right in fucking front of you. Who's over here? Nothing. What's in here? This is the room I came from, I think. No, it's not. I came from the other way. But still, there might have been some shit in here. Oh, yeah. I remember. Oh, shit. Bitch, that hurt. Go! That was scary. What's in here? You. What, did I scan it? I scanned him. I killed you, man. You're supposed to be dead. Thanks, Parker, for nothing. Let me just check, just to make sure, you know? You never know. It could be ammo, it could be custom parts, herbs. Bridge. Ditto. Got your ass. Well, this is where it's telling me to go, so I'm gonna go to the lower cabins. Because I was in the upper cabins. Okay. Let me go to the lower cabins, get some shit, and then I'll go to the bridge. So what's my objective? Head for the bridge? Not yet. I'm looting. Oh, other side. Okay. All right, shortcut. All right. I know what's happening. Go to the bridge, then go over, and it shortcut. All right. Here I am trying to be proactive. Damn. Someone's been here. Where? Oh, these lockers too. Lockers everywhere. Like more lockers in here than Metal Gear Solid 2. I gotta tell you, that's a lot of fucking lockers.
I'm at the bridge.
Parker, your dick. That's behind him. Communication system is down. No!
We can't change our course. We're completely adrift.
This is recent. The perpetrator can't be far.
Oh shit. Trapped. And they got like a big boom.
That was the tugboat.
Shit, we'll be stuck here.
Oh, it's that guy. Dang, she could do the splits too, dude?
Freeze! Drop the weapon!
Drop
yours, Parker. Who the hell are you?
Your father. So to end. DC CSS. More of a C# guy, but alright, let me save it, and I'm gonna go pee-pee. I'll be right back, okay, everybody? Don't touch that dial, because I'll cry if you do. You didn't want me to cry, do you? Be right back. Somebody starts defending in the audience. It's like, beat the shit out of him. Get him out of here. Keep his coat. I use a voice changer to hide my identity. He's just like Ghostface. What's your favorite position?
Alpha team is flying around the forest zone situated
Did I break the TV?
Oh, 8 down sights? Oh, I know, right? I guess I could technically fake it. Ah, shit! That was a real scream that time! Fuck! I hate you! I hate you! Give me my knife back, bitch. Oh, Lord, they coming.
Screaming Joey, yes. Oh, so it is this. It really? I don't know. I don't think I might have seen it, but I didn't register it. First one. Period. I was not aware. Thank you for teaching me. Now I know. Now I know. I know he's half the battle. The other half is violence and murder. What am I doing? Alright. Shit.
Amazing. Oh, what up, Salt? Do you go by Salt or Tofu? I've been teeter-tottering. How's your day going? Paint me like one of your French girls. Can I? Promise?
It does create even more backtracking. You can come for the price of $6.99. I mean, why can't I come and then get paid? Let's give Tofu a shout out.
So that'd be a weird one to hear. Because you're so fucking innocent, it feels weird cussing around you. That's why. Like cussing around a kid. I didn't mean like that, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, I feel like I shouldn't. Until you start cussing.
Alright, I'm back, but hold on. Bongo Cat has a gift. Let's see. Or not a gift, but a new item. Let's see. Let's figure this out. This is important, okay? Damn it. For the Steam. Alright, Bongo Cat. Oh, nice. Oh, we got a little fucked up hat. I like that one. I like that one more. Let's do it. Yeah. Alright. Here's like a Bagger Vance hat. Little vagabond hat. Did I save? I think I did, but let's do it anyway. I think it's like the one Resident Evil where, like, I always like Resident Evil music. This was just kind of generic to me. Like, it's not bad, but it's not, you know, where's the Code Veronica save theme music? You know, I need that level of stuff. Or, you know, an underrated fucking soundtrack in the franchise? Remake 4. That has some banger music. If you're like really listening, I know there's some chaos happening in some of those fights, but if you pay attention to that shit, it's fucking kind of hype. I really can't wait to stream that. Previously on
Resident Evil Revelations.
Jesus. No one could have lived through that.
And stories of their resurrection are true.
Then the setup that got Jill and Parker, it was all...
It's a trap. Yeah, I'd almost guarantee it.
O'Brien, we'll go after Jill and Parker.
Make your way to the Mediterranean.
Where?
Damn it. Bastard took all my weapons.
Can you reach HQ?
No, comms are as it seems. Shit, we'll be stuck here. Jill!
I forgot this guy's name. It's not O'Brien. The other guy's O'Brien. But this guy, he kind of reminds me of Conan because of the hair. Like, he's like if Conan was like an evil cartoon. Spoilers. Actually, I think this guy's low-key a good guy. Like, they want you to think he's the villain, but he's not. Spoilers. When did this come out? Like 2013? 12? Like that. 1 year ago, Terra Grigia. Oh my god, is it the liquor? Not the liquor part, the hunters? Because I played this game a couple times, and even though I played it just a couple times, the fucking hunter part, hate it. Don't you hate it too, dude?
Still hurting, Cadet?
Yeah, see, Bongo Cat hates it too. See, right? Yeah.
Fight.
Sucks, right?
Spirit.
It's over. The city is finished.
What? He's a good dude. Fuck! No!
Your efforts are commendable.
No! I don't want to do this part. I haven't scanned? No. Motherfucker.
Jessica, Parker, come in. The facility has been breached. We're closing shop. Prepare to go home. Split up and get to the helipad on the roof. That's an order.
Everybody sounds like Colonel to me. Colonel!
I'll cover the hallway with Jessica. Cadet, make sure they reach the heliport.
Fine.
Parker, they've started evacuation procedures here. O'Brien?
Hey, you're kind of a cutie patootie too.
I'm the only one left, General Morgan. The BSAA is pulled out. I want you to know that the FBC is making
Pulling out?
a huge mistake.
Couldn't be me. Sorry. It was too easy. I had to. Where the fuck do I go? This door won't open.
We have been...
Oh, now it will. This is the part. Oh boy. Hold on. Let me fix my chair and lean back.
You think this is it?
Not if we shoot all them sons of bitches first.
Those evil sons of bitches.
If they come, open fire!
I don't think two of us will be enough.
You want to make it out of here, there's gotta be. Up to
Right in the fucking back of the head. I thought I saw ammo somewhere. Did I pick it up already?
How many are there?
A lot! I hate it.
Make them all?
I can't run faster than this, but I want ammo.
When they find out.
Hold on, dude. Hold on, dude.
I think that's what they're hoping.
These guys drop anything? I don't think they do. Alright, where am I going? Kill all the enemies in the hall. Can I just watch kids in the hall with all the enemies in the hall? That'll make everybody happy. That's a great show. It's important.
Takes care of that.
Right.
Does
Now
it
it's our
though?
turn to get on that chopper.
That elevator.
Get duty chopper!
This way.
Alright, lead the way. You know, I know she's BSAA, but there's something about her little dorky secretary outfit that's doing a lot for me right now. Is she BSAA? Also, what's FBC? I feel like I know too much about Resident Evil to not know what FBC is.
Climb the walls too?
Oh! I was scratching my head. Stantler? Fuck you, Stantler.
That's fine. But you're buying me dinner next time.
Shit.
Lobster. What the?
Broke already?
That was the last working elevator. How do you feel about stairs? Actually, I'm not sure how I feel about stairs.
Map of the Terra Grigia building. Hey, what up, Jay? I just knew it was you. You reminds me, it's like in Black Dynamite, we're just like, God damn it, Latasha, I even got a look and I know it's you. God, this breaks consistently. God damn it, Jay, fuck off. Hold on. Hold on. This is why I can't have nice things. It's fair though, I can't be upset. I did that to you too. LMAO, mid. You're mid, bitch. Let me fix it. Nice. Hey, bloody, what up? Yeah, spam that. Scare him off. Get him, get him. Hold on, I'm actually gonna like double the price of that. Also, I have to fucking open OBS and fucking properties, refresh cache. Fucking, you threw off my groove. How's it going, buddy? All right, hold on. Community. Where is it? View rewards, power ups. I hope everybody is doing wonderfully tonight. Where is it? I'm untethered and my rage knows no bounds. One second, this is important, apparently. Yep. He still has enough. Still has enough. I hate you right now. Only because it breaks my stream. You know what? Actually, that's a good point, and that's enough reason. 1 second. Got him. Yeah, he did. I should be starting Doom Eternal in 2 days. Nice. right, cool. What up, Jay? How you doing? I'm bloody. At work? Oh, nice, nice. How's that going? Do you have a consistent, like, location, or are you just, like, kind of sent to, like, a few? Not at work. I'm not at work either. Oh! Man, he hit him with the Y-I-O-T-A. I'm always at the same place? Oh, okay, I don't know how it works. Hey, I saw you were playing, I forgot what it's called, but it looked like, it's a game that looks a lot like, Fire Emblem. How's that treating you? You liking it? Street Corner? Yeah, I knew it. I knew it. Yay. FBC's charter. The Federal Bioterrorism Commission was founded, oh nice, by the US government to be the enforcing agency of the guidelines set forth in the National Species Protection Act. This document outlines the FBC's charter and the responsibilities of its members. The FBC is charged with protecting the United States and her interests from biological threats. Our organization will work with other countries and their respective wildlife protection organs anyway, to guard public health. As such, we are tasked with ensuring the biological safety of the public at large. The duties of all FBC members include the research, training, and support of the biological community. Policies will be fomented on the needs-only basis, with any additional budget expenditures and extraordinary activities being... No. Wait. Approved by the plenary session of the Wildlife Protection Committee. The FBC chair is selected by the Wildlife Protection Committee. The chair's duties include complete... Oh my god, why does it keep breaking? Oh, okay. I thought it froze again. Complete oversight of the FBC and coordination of all activities with respective U.S. cabinet officials. The FBC chair is the final overseer of the National Animal Protection Community. All members of the National Animal Protection Community are entitled to request help from the chair, including the Secretaries of State and Defense and Director of National Intelligence. However, the chair has final authority on all matters of national biological safety. LMAO. That's me every time I have to stop my game to fucking reset, mix it up. Oh, the indie game? I've only played a little bit, but cool. Yeah, I saw you were playing something and I googled it and I was like, oh, that looks cool. I forgot what it was called, but it looked cool. Got him. Oh. Stay down. I forgot to. Yeah, I forgot what it was called, but I'm sure I could find it again. Indie game inspired by Fire Emblem, and it'll show up. Free white lady, no! Hope you're having a good night though, bro. Both of you. Dark Deity? Yeah, I think that was it, actually. I think that was it. That sounds right. It's alright. Oh, okay. I've only ever played a little bit of the original Fire Emblem. I always wanted to get into it though, you know? I just never really spent the time. Yeah, reading Fire Emblem, it's good. Oh, Fire Emblem? Never played it. Oh. Yeah, you don't really strike me as a Fire Emblem player. Daily Courier, Article 1. London Daily Courier, Tragedy in Terra Grigia by Donatello Lutetsky, or whatever. A beast slouches towards Europe to be born, and that beast is the Federal Bioterrorism Commission. What is unique about the beast that is federal? I like Fire Emblem, but they are hard, and I'm bad at them. That's fair. Yeah, if you like sucking infected assholes, it's good. Species Protection Committee that gave birth to it was no beast itself and was intended to assist the US in its bioterrorism efforts. Unfortunately, Europe has become the home to a tragedy that has roused the beast. The FBC has taken complete control of the biohazard outbreak in Terra Grigia and has, in effect, barred the participation of other countries. Terra Grigia is an aquapolis that was developed jointly by the US and European teams to research and develop alternative energy sources. The impetus behind the city's development was twofold. The Europeans wanted to halt climate change, and the Americans hoped to develop energy sources for Africa. That end, the city was placed strategically in the Mediterranean Sea. Terra Grigia has enjoyed cooperative administration by both sides and has held up its as a model of successful US-European cooperation. The terrorist attack in Terra Grigia has put the kibosh on that. Kibosh, that's a good word. According to conditions stipulated in the treaty outlining Terra Grigia's governance, both the US and Europe have equal authority during a terrorist attack. Only during the event of bioterrorism does the FBC assume a leadership role. The FBC was formed with the express purpose of dealing with threats posed by bioterrorism. They have a crack squad of soldiers on permanent standby, and by that measure, they have the most expansive charter of any organization in Europe. By a time of crisis, they have blessed the blessing of the US to take charge and control the situation. Oh, okay, so the FBC is basically like European BSAA? Wait, roused or aroused? The Beast? Another reading game? Ugh. Nice. I'm practicing reading out loud because apparently I suck at it. And that is how the FBC came to be in charge of the current chaos in Terra Grigia. FBC Commissioner Morgan Lansdale has announced that EU involvement will not be tolerated while his organization deals with the crisis. European authorities pressed Lansdale to respect their rights in this matter, and they were able to convince him to bring in Commander Clive R. O'Brien of the BSAA, a well-respected international civilian group. The civilians? That's how I read, bro! That's how I read! Oh, you motherfucker. The problem, however, is even though O'Brien himself is a bioterrorism expert, he is working with virtually no support staff, which limits the scope of actions he can take. You son of a bitch. God damn it. Hold on. I'll fix it. Hold on, sorry guys. Leave it. No. Not breaking it. You know, it feels like it's like when your mom tells you, it's like, hey, share your toys, and these motherfuckers keep breaking your toys. Hold on, because now I'm seeing. Okay, hold on. I'll do this as needed. While the story of the tragedy is still unfolding, it would seem that the FBC is ignorant to the extent of the suffering in Terra Grigia. Whether Lansdale has the ability and intelligence to handle this attack without becoming a Yeatsian beast also remains to be seen. Spamming game over will break it for sure. I'm 100% sure it will. I like to have faith that you guys will stop. But it is what it is. I've done my fair share of spamming, even though I felt bad. It's like every time we spammed your channel, I was like Wesley Snipes from New Jack City, just like crying. I think the camera, that's what they changed. It's the gun. I confused the meme with the actual movie.
So, what do you think about that O'Brien guy?
BSAA director? Not my type.
That's not what I meant.
I think he's in the right. He needs to stand up
Right in the
to
dick.
General Morgan.
Yeah, I agree. I think being in the FBC distorts
Okay.
your moral compass.
You sound just like him. Still, I wouldn't mind being on the right side of the fight.
Oh shit, I'm low on ammo. Oh, what else I got? They got shotguns? They do got a shotty. Nothing? Okay. Did he say oral cum ass?
The elevator's on the 6th floor.
Probably. Bruh, I just went on a tangent, but I heard the word besieged and it made my nether regions quake from excitement at the thought, so here I am. LOL. Wait. What are you talking about? The game Besieged? I don't even remember saying Besieged. Was that actually in the thing I just read? What the fuck? Yeah. Chat's been on a roll today. Love it. Is it throbbing? Oh yeah, so I said before my porn star name is Chuck Hammers, but my other porn star name is Throbbing Williams. No back away. No wait, no back away beast. It's not time of the month yet. No back away beast. It's not my time of the month yet. That's gross. We all know that happens when Queef Blaster gets their nether regions going. Okay, stay, die, motherfucker. Oh shit. I puckered a little bit. What, you have too bloody? You playing anything tonight? No. Wait.
Are you kidding me? A dead end?
Where are they? Oh, yeah, it's not a dead end. I heard glass breaking. Just MK. Nice. I gotta get back into that.
We can get through here.
Didn't feel like streaming.
Okay,
That's fair. Not every night needs to be a streaming night, you know. Sometimes it's nice to just kind of keep a game to yourself, you know.
Jessica, hurry!
Bloody loves Mario Kart. I don't get it. Is this an ongoing thing? Does he not like Mario Kart? I do. Yeah, everybody likes Mario Kart. Excuse me. Who doesn't like Mario Kart? I thought it was like a universally loved game. I don't like $90 Mario Kart. Oh yeah, nobody does. That's fucking retarded. More like Mario Kart. Yeah, honestly, I can't believe how they're pricing everything. And I liked how they were like toting us like, hey, all of our pre-orders are sold out. It's because of fucking scalpers, you idiots. And even then, you know, people can spend what they fucking want, but I would be kind of dead paying fucking $90 for Mario Kart. I don't care if it's open world. It's stupid. Fish 2 is insane. Yeah, dude. Like I get it. It is nice tech, but it's old tech, and I don't think it's worth $450. I'll wait for a sale or something. I'm not buying that at launch. Like, I like Nintendo as much as the next guy, but it took me what? When did?
Come on.
Switch is like what, 8 years old now? I got my Switch a year and a half ago. You know, and I'm fine. I don't need to play that shit at launch.
Sorry, I don't date animal monsters.
Oh shit. Oh shit. I want to be more than 50 max for Mario Kart. That's fair. Maybe I'll give them like a full price 60. But like what was it, like 90? Is that what they're asking for this shit? Fuck off. Also, I really hate the practice of the game code card thing. Where it's like and I understand this is kind of like where things are now. Like, unfortunately, when you buy when you buy a game on disc, that really has all of the game on it. So it's like you're still stuck downloading, but like you could still sell the game and then download stuff off the server. What they're doing with their game code thing, it's like I can't let my boys borrow my games or nothing. I don't think I can sell it or buy it used. Like, I don't think that's how it's working. So it's like, it's just more of this whole, like, you don't own what you buy kind of thing. I hate it. Just shoot a bank loan to buy all of our outdated tech. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, I like Mario as much as the next guy, but I don't like Mario that much. Wait, am I supposed to hang out here? Is the elevator open yet? Let me in! Random thought, like how you spelled it. We need to heavily invest in Ashley emote for me to use, or Shiva in her disco outfit, because I think about how cute and shit that would be. Or maybe like your face on Disco Shiva's body. That's funny. That could be handled. I'll add Ashley, or maybe honestly, Sheva is best girl. Like, I know I was just talking about. I like how I was just talking about how much I love Jill's ass in this game, but Sheva is like that's my RE bae. They're incentivizing pirating their games. Yeah, no, they really are. Sheva, third best girl? In your opinion. For you. Riding Hood Sheva is a goddess. For real. No cap. Right, which Sheva do you like? Oh shit, Bongo Cat likes tribal. He likes the tribal Sheva. Good choice, buddy.
I can't believe Morgan decided to fry the city with the solar energy.
Jill is goated. She is the master of unlocking things.
Yes.
She can unlock this duke.
Off the face of the earth. By tomorrow morning, Terra Grigia will be just a name in the history book.
In the history book. I hate this part of the game.
We did do everything we could, right?
I hope
Jill is probably like the RE goat, to be honest. Throat goat. Hey!
When have I ever gone back on my word?
Ashley's better. She can do anything by uttering one for. Yeah. Sheva's great though. Why has she never come back? I don't know, dude. Like, there's a lot of partners that only showed up for one game. Billy, even though Billy's probably dead. I think Billy dies, to be honest. Like, it's not canonically explained, but that motherfucker died in that forest. We never got Parker back. Parker's a homie. Sheva. My boy Carlos. Carlos is gone. He's not dead, but he's like missing. Carlos is great. You're right.
Get the lead out. We gotta go.
Get the lead out. I like that. Oh, even fucking RE5. He was a DLC character, but Noah was awesome. No, Josh. Sorry, it's Josh. Dude. Wait. What'd I do? Carlos and RE3 modded? I somehow knew you were going there with this. That's funny. What mods did you have? What mods did you have? And we all miss Steve. Steve's kind of a tragic character. He's just a victim of terrible voice acting. He was annoying to be butt-ass naked. Nice. Like, I don't like Steve per se, but I will admit he was kind of misfairly treated. Steve's a lot better in Darkside Chronicles. He literally was poking my eyes out with that beautiful package. I was totally okay with it.
So bright.
Was he really like just like walking around with a fucking attention? Would Steve still love Claire when she got that extra chromosome in the remake? Probably. I love her with her extra chromosome. You leave my girl alone, okay? Leave remake Claire alone. She's adorable, and I won't stand for it.
Terra Griges. No more.
We came to help, but did nothing.
Get some DSLs. Asa. Kira. Hey. It's okay. Remake Jill was also a downgrade. Wait. Remake 3 Jill or Remake 1 Jill? Because I think Remake 1 Jill is where it's at. 3's still a babe, but Remake 1 Jill is, that's goated. 3? Okay, so you're saying Remake 3 was also a downgrade. I don't know. I thought the actress that they're, or the model that they kind of pulled her face from was also kind of a babe, but Remake Jill is Jeff's kiss. Still a fox, but not my blocky 32-bit goddess. So Remake 1 Jill is peak. You know. Hold on, let me see what Bongo Cat got. Oh, a bow? Ah. Let's see. Save. You can dodge while reloading. Oh, I actually didn't know that. Whoa! It was loud.
Raymond.
It's a pretty face.
That's you, isn't it?
The BSAA. A little too late.
What is the FBC doing here?
You know who Revelations Jill kind of reminds me of?
Answer anything.
What was that girl's name in like the 90s and early 2000s? She was like the Lara Croft spokesperson. Is it Rona Mitra? Is that her name? Am I revealing something by saying that name?
Stop right there.
Rona Mitra.
Nothing will change unless you get your hands dirty.
Yeah, she kind of reminds me of her when she was younger and with less plastic surgery.
So the FBC.
She's an actress. Yeah, sure. Oh, she's giving Rachel Ziegler, now that I think about it, and it makes me want to smack her into a mirror. She stares at violently thinking about it. I'm so happy mods are a thing. This is, Rachel Ziegler. I don't see it. I don't think Rachel Ziegler's ugly. I think she's attractive. She's just annoying. Yeah, Rona Mitra is the one I'm thinking about for this, Jill. Like that, she has like a very strong, like, brow. You know? Still pretty, but like a little angular. Or are you still talking about Remake 1, Jill, being an actress? Search the bridge. Oh! Nice stun. Yeah! Bitch! Ugly on the inside takes it from a mid 2 out of 10. Mid to 2 out of 10. What are you oh, Rachel Ziegler. Anything in here? Probably. What's this? It's got a light on it. Say for the card reader. I don't have a fucking card. And this is locked. This can be like, oh, it's got a helm on the blah blah blah. Oh, I have the helm key. Oh, I didn't even realize that. Nice. Tight. I just don't think she's pretty, and her demeanor with all make me just ew at her, and New Jill reminds me of her in a certain light. New Jill? I don't see any resemblance between New Jill and Rachel Ziegler, but maybe I'm missing it. Discarded message. Oh God, please help me. This can't be happening. Don't leave me to die in this hell. I'm trapped here. There are monsters here. They're real ones. Everyone's dead or dying. There's no survivors. Shit, we're all gonna die. Cool. Maybe I'm tripping. In that sense, maybe, but speak your truth, King.
We should find an emergency communication room if we go through the hall.
But I stand by my statement anyways. Hell yeah. History of the Queen Zenobia. LOL. I read that as ill, but I was like, let me wait for him to correct it. Tonnage, 148 gross tons. Damn. Displacement, 90 tons, 90,000 tons. A wild Polisand. Length, don't care. Electric diesel. This Paraguay? Is it like a Uruguay? I don't know. Paraguay's line flagship was constructed in 1978. The interior is designed to replicate that of ships of the 1930s, the golden age of cruise ships. The design is based on the blueprints left by George Trevor. This motherfucker must have been like the richest architect of all time in here. I love that fucking show. Before his disappearance, newspapers from the time of the ship's construction report accolades of the design received. The ship herself is named after Zenobia, the queen of the Palmyrean Empire, who was deposed by the Romans. Like the legendary beauty of her namesake, this ship is known as the Beauty of the Atlantic and remained one of the most popular cruise ships built by the 20th century. With the rise of the air travel supplanting the popularity of long seafaring voyages, it looked like the Queen Zenobia, along with her sister ship, was destined to be junked in the late 80s. Fortunately, she was purchased by the Paraguay's line, and her steam turbines were replaced with an electric diesel propulsion system. Her hold and cabin areas were expanded, and she was upgraded with the latest technology. The Queen Zenobia was reborn as a fully functioning luxury liner. After its restoration, the Queen Zenobia set out on a cruise around the world, followed by one around South America, and many, many others. In the future, she will find her main harbor in the Mediterranean and her cruises around Africa. The Queen Zenobia will be bringing pleasure to passengers for years to come. The history... well, hold on. No one is dumb enough to have her headlining a movie again, so we can all forget Ziegler exists now. You're right, I'm just a 90s baby. Trauma runs deep. LOL, Anne Hathaway, Princess of Genovia. She's a big baddie. Anne Hathaway is a baddie. I'm older. I don't get it. Oh, a 90s baby. Barely, Jay. You're like, what, 88? You're a 90s kid. I knew Mother Miranda was just a front. Lady, we're 89. Yeah, dude, you fucking... It's like that Star Wars meme. We grant you a seat as born in the 80s, but we do not grant you the rank of 80s kid. You're a 90s kid just like me. Devils Prada and fits the bill. I'm 85. Yeah, you're an 80s kid. I'm a real boy. You. Bloody is 85 years old. Yeah, he's old. Shotgun shells. They ran around your family with a packet full of shells. I'm too gay for this chat. My references are ahead of their time.
We should go to the emergency communication.
Vampire. But behind at the same time. Well, stick around. I'm sure you'll catch on. You'll get with the program. It's not working. Damn it. But she will catch up. No one is gayer than Paul. Where's he? He was here. I think he went to bed or something.
Right.
That's funny.
We got to find Rain.
How do you know him?
I used to work with him.
You guys are cracking me up.
Let's leave it at that.
What time is your shift over? I hear more monsters. I hear squishy. I hear wet. I hear wet. Okay, no, it's not. I just started. Still got 7 hours left. Ooh. Are you allowed to bring like your Switch or something? I can pretty much do whatever as long as I take my patrols. Patrops. Oh, let's go to lower cap. No, let's do upper cabins first. Because I think I have to go. Yeah. I know what you meant. Not just being a goofy. Just being a goofy. Where's the map button? Ooh. I'm a big fan of 3D maps like this. Use the helm key. A silly goose. Hey, what up? What up, Deadwolf? Here, I gave you a shout out before. I'm gonna give you another shout out. Here we go.
You know that. I hope you do.
Got patrol in a minute. Well, stick around. I'm gonna give you a shout out too, Jay.
Yeah, it is, dude.
Alright, what game is this? This is... Oh, this is Ghost of Sushi, isn't it? Amazing fucking game. Thank you. Oh, no problem, dude. Just got done with Monster Hunter. Nice. Oh, god damn it, Jay. Stop breaking my shit.
Now your stance is broken.
That's why I can't have nice things. I hope you're having a good night, Deadwolf. Hey, Deadwolf. I don't know if you saw the group chat. Dude, I don't know if you ignore us or what, but are you coming to see Thunderbolts on Thursday? You're more than welcome to. We'd love to have you. Alright, and then here's Jay Conquers. Bitch. No. I can. You should. He's playing. Oh, dude. Yeah. So one of the coolest things Jay's done is this motherfucker streamed every like mainline entry of Castlevania. I think he skipped like a couple spin-offs, if I'm not mistaken. Like you're not going to do the multiplayer Xbox Arcade one or the Judgment, which is like a fighting game, which isn't that bad. I will say. I think Judgment was pretty all right. Pretty much. Yeah. But it's still a cool thing. Note found in room 303. What the hell's going on? Monsters are crawling all over the ship. They're tearing it into pieces. I've never seen monsters like this. Their movements are stiff, stilted, but it's all over if they get a hold of you. Those piece of shit monsters ate my friend Hassan. Bastards. I used my gun to frighten them off. Give me time to get the hell out of there. The bullet went straight through its arm. Thank God. These monsters have bones like an old woman. There's nowhere left to run now. Damn monster twisted my leg good. Hell, I've run out of ammo too. God only knows how I'm going to survive this. Spoiler! You ain't. Illegal custom parts. That's how you know they're good. Is there really those in here? Still the illegal parts? Sorry. No. Oh, hold on. Let me check this side of the ship. I don't know why I took the long way. I was gonna go through that door. That goes downstairs, and I'm not quite ready yet. Resident Evil in the long way. The long way. Resident Evil the long way. Hold on. Alright. Fuck. Damn it. That's my fault. That's on me. But it's okay. Motherfucker. I shouldn't even have come in here. God damn it. Oh, I have to be in here anyway. Okay. That's what I'm looking for. A shotgun. Might as well. Wait, what? Oh, nice. Oh, does it add a queue? Now it resets? Is that how this works? Oh boy. Oh, there you are. Oh, these ones shoot at me. Hold on. Ah, okay. Oh, nice. There's another one. Another one. Oh, not still too far. Okay, nice. Idiot. Maybe I should put this on hard. Like, I was hoping to be able to use my New Game Plus weapons, but I didn't think it'd be this fucking easy. In here. Oh, doesn't matter. It's locked. And there's some doors over here. Ooh, wait. Did I see something? Oh, I think I'm tripping. Okay. Oh, yeah, card reader door. I don't have the card yet. That's fine. Hold on. All right. My Peppa Sylvia is kicking in. Hear me out. So if you've seen Princess Diaries, Anne Hathaway becomes the Queen of Genovia or Zenobia. You say it with the accent. So maybe Excella, aka J-Lo from RE5, not 4, is leaving all these notes. LOL. So, and we obviously know Mother Miranda from The Devil Wears Prada. And her ass knew Anne Hathaway was her successor, meaning we are all inside the Queen of Zenobia. Are we inside Anne Hathaway's coochie? I wish. I could only hope so. Also, I never saw, I only saw the first Princess Diaries, like, as a kid with my sister. I never saw Devil Wears Prada. I think I might like it. I don't know. I wish these nuts were on your chin. Yeah, that wish could be granted. Come see Thunderbolts, then we'll talk.
It's like an opera house in here. So,
smells like a Cypress Hill concert in here. Okay, just being thorough. What are you up to, Devil? You said you were done playing Monster Hunter, but you're just chillaxing now? Are you playing anything? Getting ready for bed? I'm gonna come tuck you in. I love you, Devil. Grabbing food. Oh, what are you getting? What you gonna eat, lad? Working. Grab these nuts too while you're at it. Chicken Alfredo? Mmm. Only rivaled by seafood Alfredo. Alright, hold on, I'm going around. This music kind of reminds me of Devil May Cry 3 music. Just a little bit. What's up, Cracker? Also, a new canon, Excella is an RE4. Is she? I played the remake a few times. I don't remember Excella being in there. Some part. Oh! I didn't play the Ada DLC. I was actually gonna do that for the first time on stream. Post credits, bitch. Post credits? I thought that was, is that not Albert on the phone? I don't know. I'm gonna replay it eventually, because like I said, I'm gonna stream every Resident Evil. Like after this, I'm gonna play. It's only like a 3-hour game, but I'm gonna stream the 3DS one, the Mercenaries 3D. And then after that, I'm gonna stream Umbrella Corps. Yeah, Umbrella Corps and what's the other one? Operation Raccoon City. That's the next one. And then I'll get to like 7. In VR, baby! I'm gonna upgrade my shit. Oop, what'd I do? Okay. So these are equipped. Stopping power, damage to damage plus 80%. God, close hit. Critical. Actually, I feel like that should be a shotgun thing. Long magazine and critical. Yeah, let's do that. Then go to the shoddy. And charge shot. You can perform a charge shot by holding down the fire button. Firepower goes up. Firing rate for a shotgun, that's pretty good. Actually, I'll leave that alone. I think the damage, like fire shot, probably trumps damage too. But yeah, no, I didn't know that. I need to double check. I'm not saying you're wrong or anything. I'm just saying I didn't see it, and I want to know. Plus, Excella also. That's my RE baddie. Like if Sheva is RE Bay, then Excella is RE mommy. More so than Lady D. I'm just opening doors, you know? Trying to mark them on the map. So when they get the key, they go like yellow or something. Wait. No, hold on. Am I forgetting something? Let me check the map. Am I backtracking? I think I'm backtracking. I wish I could post a picture here. Excella is actually visible, like she's shown in RE4 Remake. Here, I can pull up a picture. I just didn't know that. Just give me a second. I'll pull it up right now. Uh-oh. Okay, hold on. Hold up. Wait a minute. Excella RE4 Remake. Hold up. Is that Excella? Oh, she's on the camera. Because I saw this. I saw this stuff. That is Excella. Okay, is this what you're talking about? On the screen? Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. That's Hunk. That is that Terra Grigia? What is that? Let's see. New spoiler. Yeah, that's totally Excella. Nice. That's like RE5 Excella. Like they didn't even bother trying to redesign her. Hey! Oh, it's the Stairway to the Sun. That's what that is. I thought it was like an island. Okay, okay. Nice, 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 nice. Thank you. I missed that. It's J-Lo. She's still Excella from the block. Oh, this part of the game. Well, now I have my fucking big boy weapons. So I'm not as worried. But this boss is way too tough to be the first fucking boss of the game. Like, this boss is a fucking asshole. The captain. I'm gonna fuck him up now. I got bigger, better weapons. Better ingredients, better weapons. Jill Valentine. Yas! Yas, queen. Here, this is for you. This is for you. Don't say I never did anything for you. Jill's living her best contissimo life. Yeah, she is. Okay, this is for you, buddy.
Yes, queen. Yes, queen. Yes, queen.
Close enough for this? I'm crying. Fucking love that show. Broad City is like, isn't it even considered underrated? Because everybody I know who's actually seen it loves it. I feel like nobody talks about it. That show fucks. Damn it. Low key, yeah. It's really good. It's really damn good. I'm glad they ended it rather than getting canceled. Another show that I liked way more than I thought. You don't like it? What? Game. But another show that I didn't expect to like as much as I did was,
We have yet to
wait,
find one
it was fucking, Nora from Queens. I thought that was a pretty damn good show too. Hold on, let me... Has piercing belly plus a wide hit zone. Is that a shotgun? Oh. Fishing ability. Oh, okay, okay, okay. 20, 250. Okay. Oh, but the firing speed is way higher. Passing is 42. 42. Oh. Firepower is a magnum. Weapon that comes. A weapon at the top of its class when it comes to power. L-Hawk. Lightning Hawk. Fires more bullets than a normal shotgun. +9. This is +6. Oh. Oh, but it only has 2 slots. Okay, okay, okay. Alright, now honestly, I think I have the best loadout I have right now. Everything is as it should be. Everything in its rightful place. Got you a gift? You got me a gift? Oh, thanks, buddy. You didn't have to give me a gift. Am I setting myself up for a D's Nuts joke? Oh, that's really nice of you if you did, though. Appreciate you. If you can... No, I got us both the same thing. A double-sided dildo? Yes! Yo. Ah, fuck yeah, bro. Sweet. My favorite 2-player game. I'm low-key a little nervous. This boss sucks. Boss is an asshole, but let me get things out of the way first. Each side is our favorite turtles. I like that. So you have an orange side and have a purple side? And then maybe just to mix things up, we'll just switch sides for a second. Just go like, and just rotate it. Hope you're having a good day, buddy. It has the turtles' faces. Wait, does it really? The thing you got, it actually does? Or it's sculpted nice? This boss is an asshole. I'm just trying to get everything I can now while I have time. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. Oh, alright, full ammo. Alright. Alright, let's go. Let's deal with this motherfucker. And his horde. Yeah, he is. He's a fucking bastard. Parker, you got my back? Barely. Parker, quit sucking. Oh, oh boy, oh boy. Oh my god. Sure you are. Get it. Ah! Oh, it was too soon, Junior. Oh shit, where'd you come from? Does he have mines? Little traps? Okay. does this one do? Oh, nice. Oh, that worked. I don't want any trouble. Oh, die, bitch. I'm charging my shotgun, by the way. You guys are wondering why I'm not like just fucking unloading. Yeah, he is. Ah! Why won't you die? Oh shit. They get him? Oh boy. That fucking key. Bitch! You bitch! Notification, what was that? Oh, also, Bongo Cat, what'd you get, boy? What'd you get? Pickles? Okay, nice. Oh, I should have scanned him. Why didn't I scan him? That would have been smart. Smart thing to do. Communications Officer Journal. Day 1. I made the right decision coming up to the promenade. I've got food and beverages to last me a long time. I can still hear those things out there clawing at the door, or looking for a prey. Too bad they ain't getting in here. I have no idea if anyone else is still alive, but I know I'm going to make it through this all right. Day 2. Shit, those damn things got in through the air ducts, but I put them all down before they could do any real damage. Trained for this. I've trained hard. Hats off to me. Good thing I was up when it happened. No more deep sleeps for me. After yesterday's surprise party, I haven't been able to sleep a wink. My nerves are frayed. I wish I wasn't the only one here. Pretty tired today. I don't feel well. I better not get sick. I shouldn't move. Need to conserve energy. Just hang in there. This is day 4. I got a fever. Hope those monsters don't find me like this. I'm out of it. Am I infected? Is it just a cold? There's a big lump in my head. It hurts. I wish I had someone to talk to. So alone. How many days is it? I found someone to talk to. So happy. He's very funny. He tells lots of jokes. Lots. They're funny. I laugh. His face is too close in my face. He thinks so too. No room to move. I had a fight. I wanted all the food. He was eating meat. Good, tasty meat. I saw his face, chewing, eating. No meat for me. Looked tasty. His head looks tasty. Help. Can't move. Trapped. Me, not me. Who is me? Please help. Help, please help. Mayday. 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 Meat. Eat only. Eat meat. Man, shit, this nigga's spitting. Oh shit, dude. Bitch. That's my fault. I thought I had room to dodge still. No! Okay, cool. Didn't see that. Resident Evil. Wait, where? There you are. Oh shit. Handprint found. Master Skywalker, what are we going to do? I'm going the wrong way. The wrong way. Oh, yeah, and then you go here. Go here. Yeah. But let me check the second floor real quick, just to make sure there's no rooms I'm missing to unlock and check out. You see any red? Oh, just a shortcut, but I actually don't think that's a thing. Like, I think it closes behind me, so we're good. We're good. It's the deck. Bye, Parker. Where'd you go? Did I really leave Parker? That's fine. Gastrodon. I choose you. There you are, buddy. More. Oh, nice. Did that. Thank you. Card reader. You too? Guess I gotta go back to the cabin? Bridge. Wait, did I get the key that I needed? Or I need to go back to the promenade, whatever. I do. Yeah. My bad. Promenade deck. Wait, is this not the right spot? Oh, I think this is. Nope. I gotta backtrack. Wait, hold on. Where the fuck am I going? Cabins, lower cabins. Upper deck, side deck. Okay. I gotta go back to the lower cabins. It's accessible through promenade deck. Okay, so yeah, I'm headed the right way. What do you mean I have to check my map in Resident Evil? Oh, and that's why I had to go this way. Okay, I'm just a silly goose. Like how Deadwolf said it. Why didn't you say anything? Oh, that's right. He just bongos. I'm turning back now. Go. Oh. Motherfucker. How do and where do? Oh yeah. Wait. Yeah. This way. Can check? Can I? Oh wait. Oh, this way. Found it. Fool. You fool! Found it. Monsters? Got some shit to shoot in here? No. Wait. Casino. Oh. Wrong key. This doesn't work, right? Or it's not a key thing, is it? Okay, yeah, it's not working. Here we go now.
Raymond!
Looks like we both were too late.
I've never heard somebody say Raymond, but like actually emphasizing the D at the end, like the Raymond.
Ignorant creatures who do not yet know of us. The time
Both of you.
has come.
Look.
Thou wilt that I renew. The desperate grief which wrings my heart already.
It's funny, I checked the thing. Does it look like I'm hitting a boy in the face?
But if my words be seed that
You're good, I didn't mean to
bear
hit you.
fruit of infamy
Yeah, he's
to the
fine.
traitor whom I know, speaking and weeping shall thou see together. I know not who thou art, nor by what mode thou hast come down.
That dude has a big fucking head. He looks like the yellow guy from Sin City. What's wrong? You can't hear my voice? Or whatever he says. You don't recognize my voice? And then he had both his weapons taken away. Yeah, him. He looks like the yellow guy from Sin City, just not yellow.
He's turning guppies into jaws. Shh, quiet.
And even a child could guess what will happen next.
We are Veltro.
Vengeful messengers from the depths of the Inferno.
So this is our man. I knew it was Veltro.
Abandon hope, all ye who enter here.
Abandon hope. He's quoting Dante.
Send a team to Valcoinen-Mach Airport. Look for something linked to this ship, O'Brien.
Yes, I read you. I'll send Quentin Keith.
What?
You two, get ready to move.
Hate these guys.
I hate snow.
Yeah, I hate you too.
Snow hates you.
Yeah, so do I.
Just find out anything you can on Veltro.
I don't see a thing. I thought the Mediterranean was just like a big lake.
Be patient. Finding a ship at sea is like finding a needle in a haystack.
No kidding. But that still doesn't solve our problem. Hey, are you even listening?
We'll find you, Jill. I promise.
I promise. chapter 3? Yeah. Damn. Sweet. Alright, so how many chapters? I think there's 12 chapters, so I'm about a fourth done now. It's been 3 hours. I know the game is like, looked it up, it's like 8.5 to like 9 hours. Should I keep playing? Maybe I'll just do one more. Already saved. Oops. But you know what? I will take just a mini break, okay? Just a little break. I'm gonna go pee pee, I'm gonna go grab a snack. I'll be back in like 5-10 minutes, something like that, okay? I'll be right back, I promise. Don't touch that dial or I'm gonna cry. Like I said, I mean it. You wanna make me cry, do you? Do you really wanna? Probably.
You know, shoots it in the back twice. Like, my man. Must be dreaming. But this game is less Sean Connery and more. Hello, baby. I'll make you Randy.
I'm in a room full of gold bullion and beta bonds. Must be worth hundreds of millions.
It was like 18 gigs for me, I think, on my PlayStation. Blake, something crazy like that.
Repaired or even a simple bypass, and I'm your man.
If any of you take on any damage, get back to me ASAP, and I'll help you out. Brother! I'm not carrying any dead bodies back.
I have the recessive genes.
I'm locked, loaded, and ready to make shit dead.
All right, let's go.
Are we gonna do the anime voice competition thing right now? We're gonna be super friends. Oni-chan.
Oni-chan. Chotomate, iku.
Amazingly engrossed like that.
Like break the TV? Daddy, I'm sorry! He doesn't even curse around me most of the time, so that'd be a weird one to hear. Yeah, because you're so fucking innocent, it feels weird cussing around you. That's why. It's like cussing around a kid. I didn't mean like that, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, I feel like I shouldn't. Until you start cussing. Honestly, you gotta bump those numbers up. You don't cuss enough.
Did you kill Enrico?
Really?
Oh shit.
Yeah, like this.
Rebecca, no!
I'll show you. Chris, I have something to show you. Now, walk.
It's only 2 days from retirement.
I use a voice changer to hide my identity. So he's just like Ghostface. What's your favorite position?
Alpha team is flying around the forest zone, situated in...
Oh yeah, that's funny. I think the last time I mentioned my sisters, I was talking about Cyber Lycan. I was like, he's such a Chad, I love him so much, I'd let him date one of my sisters. But only Cyber. But he's taken, so he can't. Well, you know, after...
Claire, run! This Will guy, known him a long time. And then I asked him, asked him, Joey, why do you hate Aquaman 2 so much? And you know what he said? It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And then somebody starts defending it in the audience. He's like, beat the shit out of him. Get him out of here. Keep his coat. It does create even more backtracking. You can come for the price of $6.99. I mean, why can't I come and then get paid? Grandfather clock appears to be broken and stop ticking altogether. Is this not the one? LMAO. I mean, look at me. I'm already a content creator. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a good one, but I dip my toe in. And I could dip something else in, if you know what I'm saying. Let's give Tofu a shout out.
I'm screaming, Joey. Yes. Oh, so it is this. It really? I don't know. I don't think I might have seen it, but I didn't register it. First one. Period. I was not aware. Thank you for teaching me. Now I know. Now I know. And knowing's half the battle. The other half is violence and murder. What am I doing? All right. Shit.
Which is why I encourage all of you, just go out there and compliment somebody, you know? I do it all the time.
Lower difficulty? Fuck you! How about lower these nuts onto your chin? Dicks.
Oh shit, he's eating her butt. He's eating her butt. Don't eat my butt.
It's the FBI, motherfucker! Open up!
Catch. Oh shit! Later, Prince. No, I did not. Ew. Damn, dude. What the fuck were you drinking? Thank you. Gang. These nuts. Gang.
Fat takes a steak, no!
Sucks about a shotgun ammo, but there'll be more. You know? Wait, what the fuck?
I barely know you, but you seem cool. Here you go. What?
Alright. Like break the TV?
This is amazing. Oh, what up, Salt? Do you go by Salt or Tofu? I've been teeter-tottering. How's your day going? Paint me like one of your French girls. Can I? Promise?
I agree with all city improvement plans.
I agree with Jay. Take that shirt off. Give me some money.
To know you approve.
Give me money, I'll take my shirt off.
Finally,
I did. You did. But that wasn't on the table at the time. You're just being a good friend.
You lose everything you worked for your entire life. But I don't have to tell you what that's like. It really makes me wonder.
Is that good enough for you?
Time you spent in that
My shirt's
hall
off.
has been a burden to you.
We're taking a quick break. I ain't taking a break for shit. Alright, my shirt's off. I didn't hear any of that. I was too busy fucking stripping for you guys. Somebody clip that.
Why does he think he can do this?
Yeah, our brother's dead. Sorry to break the news to you this way. But it's okay. Hey. If you need anything, okay? I'll be here for you, okay? We're gonna get through this, alright? Whatever you need, babe. Whatever you need. He looked pretty dead, yeah. The guy was purple, okay? Okay.
Yo, you know what? I can do both. Sorry, one second. Let me just take a little mini break here. Oh, is my stream over?
Are we doing that? Are we gonna do the anime voice competition?
My stream die?
Let me
Let me check my... 1 second. Just a quick break, okay? And then I'll play while I eat too if I have to, but I haven't eaten much today. I ate when I went to go see my mom at like 2. And that was it. But she sent me with leftovers. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. Okay, just 1 sec. Good shit. Chile, Colorado. Not trying to make this a mukbang or anything, but it's hard to do. I don't know why people watch that shit. What to talk about. Please look at my stream. Okay, it's not frozen. Okay, good, good. I was worried. Got a dudong. Gross. I'm rushing a little bit. Well, let's get to it. We'll do one more chapter, okay? Previously on
Resident Evil Revelations.
Raymond, that's you, isn't it? Still hurting, cadet?
No, I can still fight.
That's the spirit.
I guess you've thought of everything. But even the FBC may not be able to cover its tracks on this one.
Let the heavens scorch the earth with justice.
Raccoon City all over again.
And Terra Grigi's no more.
Looks like we both were too late.
Both of you. Look.
Abandon hope, all ye who enter here.
Abandon hope. He's quoting Dante.
Ah, do I have to play as these assholes? I actually think they're next, and I hate playing as these guys. They're just annoying. Like, I know they're intended to be like the fucking comic relief, but it's literally playing fucking Bulk and Skull in Resident Evil. That's what they remind me of. Oh, let me unpin this, by the way. Let's see, untab. Unpin, that's what I meant to say. Oh, okay.
We are Veltro, vengeful messengers from the depths.
I'll just now. I'm still eating it.
Terrorists.
Pretty good though.
We killed these bastards.
My mom sent me home with leftovers, so I'm eating that.
It looks like you
Chile,
missed
Colorado.
it. And they're on this ship.
And now they want to use the virus to stage another attack.
Right? You like to see, right, Bungo Cat?
About Terra Grigia.
Yeah, he likes it. He likes it a lot. Look at him. Look at him go. That's enough, buddy. Looking at space wolves? What the fuck does that even mean?
Both ships out of power. The ship's running on emergency power. But the comm system needs the main power.
Is that from something?
Bring the engine room back online.
W40K. Oh, okay. Warhammer 40K. I gotcha. I was like, what are you talking about? New models just dropped. Is this a Space Marine faction? Safety procedures. Because the vessel was involved in a prior accident, safety standards that go beyond those outlined in the Maritime Safety Act, they're updating models. I'm gonna look up Warhammer 40K Space Wolves because I'm curious. Warhammer 40K Space Wolves. Oh, they are Space Marines. Okay, that's. I was asking like if it was these guys, you know. I'm actually brother. Nice. Hell yeah, dude. That's cool. Is this your guys? These are your army? Oh, I think you're a Tyranid guy, aren't you? They do upgrade passes and update character with new models. That's awesome. That's awesome. Are you gonna paint them when you get them? I was pretty impressed with what you did, dude. Good shit. Yeah? Hell yeah, dude. Nom, nom, nom. Look at the dreadnoughts. Okay, okay. Real quick, real quick. Yo, it's like the fucking the mechs that they have in Helldivers 2. The Space Wolf ones. Okay, okay. Is this it? That looks pretty badass, dude. There's something about the skull and the chains right there that I fucks with it. Yep, that's pretty cool. So you have that, or are you just getting it? You don't have it yet? No, but I want to. I want you to. That looks cool. All right. All right. What do you think about it, Bongo Cat? Oh, oops. What do you think about it, Bongo Cat? He likes it. I have all the orc speed freaks I need. And the Tyranids. Oh, are there speed freaks? It's not just a game? Is this an actual, like, faction you can use? Oh my god. I know what you meant. These look badass. I love these guys. Like I said, if I were to play Warhammer, it'd be these guys. Yeah, that's part of the orcs. Nice. Is it spelled with a K? Is that how they spell it? Because if so, I didn't know that. I think so. Okay, okay. Because usually it's like a C, but I know that the orcs are so stupid that they just do shit, you know? I can see orcs spelling orcs with a K. That's what I'm trying to say here. They spell stuff goofy. Yeah, exactly. Like, I was playing this one game. It's bad. This game sucks. But it's them as, like, fighter pilots. And it's called Daka Daka. They call the guns on those things Daka Daka. I think it's because, like, a Daka Daka Daka. I think that's why they do it. And I love it. Like, I love the orcs, but I hate that game. We have one. You have one? You have a Daka Daka?
Raymond.
Take it. You might need
Dope,
it.
dude.
Like you said, turning on the power won't be easy.
Sorry, sorry. It's really good. We have choppers and the airplane. Fuck yeah.
That key will get you to the casino on the first floor.
Just can you?
Then you'll find a lift.
Oh, I can.
Bilge. But tell me something first. You didn't see any other FPC members here, did you?
The Orc Biker Gang?
Rachel.
Oh, okay, okay.
Damn it. I haven't heard from her since she went to the bilge.
Yeah, the Biker Gang looks cool. This one. No. This one. No. This one. It's down here. Okay. Dragsta and Rocky Cars.
Rachel woman?
I love it. I really do. That sounds badass. Like, if I were to play one of those, it'd be like a tabletop. I think it'd be Warhammer. And I just love the lore. Every time I hear somebody tell me about, like, the lore of these certain factions, I'm just like, tell me more, Grandpa! I just get excited. Why you load? Let me... No, wait. Fuck. Should I start eating while I was loading? Almost done, though. You can always try them and get beat by Brixie's orcs. Oh, is Brixie... She has orcs? She's orc faction? That's her army? Hell yeah. I knew she was cool. Sorry, one second. All done. Yeah, she has all the orc mechs. Oh, sweet. What are some cool factions that you guys don't play? Just curious. Well, first of all, what's over here? I see stairs. Oh shit, look at that one. I want that one. Hey, baby. It's good in the hood. Oh shit. Oh, right on the boobs. The Tau have cool Gundams. Oh, the Tau are those like blue techie guys, right? I think they have blue skin. If I'm not mistaken. They are demons. There are demons. Oh, that's cool too. Oh, I'd have to scan her titties and the Necrons. Oh, I gotta look all these factions up. Item found? I found 2 items. At Magnum ammo? Sick. Please use coins. Okay. Necrons. When I think of Necrons, because I don't know who they are, I think of that one, what's his face? Henry Cavill. Where he's like in an interview and they're like, oh, Warhammer is my jam. And he's like, oh, me too. And he's like, what's your? And he's like, I'm going Necrons. He's like, oh, yeah. And he's like, will we? He's like, yeah, we should. So when I think of Necrons, I just think of that interview. Yeah, tech necromancers. Ooh, that sounds cool. Casino staff's report. I finally found out how to bypass. Oh, dude, so you got your, sorry, you got the retro tank. Did you get the AV stuff that you need, like all the cables and whatnot, or not quite yet? I finally found out how to bypass the security on the VIP room. That room's reserved for all the high rollers, so I've always been curious on what's going on in there. It's so easy. All you have to do is feed coins into the casino, to the casino girl next to the door, and you can bypass any security. That sounds like a security flaw to me. You have to hit the precise weight of 107 grams, a very small price to pay for access to the VIP room. Going to try Morrowind tomorrow on Xbox. You have an Xbox? Oh, Morrowind. I was thinking about Oblivion. Are you gonna stream it? Hell yeah, dude. Not yet. Okay. Fuck yeah, dude. I'll be there for that. What? I know you say every time I ask, you say the same time, but what time do you typically go live? Just so I can have a number on it in my mind. I also need to mod one of my Xboxes. Nice. Do you need help? I mod a lot of shit. 4 p.m. Okay. That'll probably be around the time I wake up. No, I'll keep an eye out for you, buddy. Dude, Morrowind. That's the one I haven't played Morrowind, and I haven't played Oblivion. What I might do is I might actually play Sky Oblivion. What the fuck am I supposed to do? You want me to backtrack? What you want? I remember it was easy, new hard drive, and need to download game bundles. I'm sure you got this. Also, hold on, let me check over here. Oh, the button there. Power's out. Fucking analog control. Let me use a mouse. Cheating. Oh, alright. Stripping. It's okay, I got ammo to spare. I'm rich, bitch! Did I miss something, though? No? VIP's locked, which, yeah, I get it. You tell me to hit my girl. 107 grams. I don't know how many coins that is. Probably 5 or something. Power's out, so I can't gamble. I can't go in here yet. Because it won't open. So I'm gonna backtrack. I'll be back. But yeah, I always wanted to play Morrowind. And I always wanted to play Oblivion. I just didn't. Skyrim is really the only Elder Scrolls I've ever played. Not my proudest thing to admit. But, you know, it is what it is. Head to the bilge. Put your head to my bulge. Ah, got him. No, I do have to go that way. What the fuck? I can go to... Okay. Maybe try going to the... What do you call that? Foredeck. I'll go to the forward deck, right? Or no. I know exactly where I need to go. The hell. Is this the right way? I think this is the one it wants me to go to. If not, it's the other side. But I want to say this is it. Hey, Trevor, if you're still here, you should come to, like, I'm actively inviting you. You're invited through the chat, but I'm telling you, it would be nice if you come to Thunderbolts. If not, it's okay, no pressure, man, but you'd be nice. Travis is coming, me and Ryan. I think that's it so far. That's right. I think this is right. Is it the cafeteria? It is. It is. It is. That's a Chucky joke. Ooh, pinky. I think I found the clip. All right, 1 second. Let me see what Bongo Cat's up to. What do you got, buddy? What do you got? Duplicate? Okay, that's fine. I just wanted that to go away. Also, I got a text. What is it? Sorry, this is important. All right. Let's do this. Wait, I think I just can't touch this. Idiot. Tell me to scan. Oh, there it is. I was like, what the fuck are you trying to get me to get? All right. And you. Where are you? Mayday. Mayday. Is this it? Yes. Oh, sick. Dude, I got all the handgun and magnum ammo. Fuck yeah, bro. Oh yeah, brother. Where is it? Up here? Probably. Oh! Found it. Custom parts. The only custom parts I want are Jills. Hey! For real though. Oh! Where the fuck do you want me to go, game? Do my best. Okay, through the cafeteria. The other side. Go up to the upper cabins. I can. Okay, that's where I need to go. I need to go to the, not the promenade deck per se, but like. Actually, no, because I need to turn power on. How do I turn the power on? It's telling me to go all the way over here. See, no, it was locked. Or it can't be opened yet. Yeah, where the fuck do I need to fucking... Do I need to go to crew quarters? How do I get back to crew quarters? Everything's locked. Crew quarters? Was it even there before? Quarter deck, crew quarters.
Oh boy. All right. What the fuck was I doing? That's locked. How dare you make me look at my map? Video game? Why was I going this way again? I feel like there was something. Oh. Well, I don't have the key card. I don't have that yet. But going this way was locked. So do I have to? Let's try the third floor. Let me go back. God damn it. I'm gonna backtrack, but let's backtrack. I think maybe this is where I need to go. Actually, I don't know why I keep thinking that's like the run, but no! That's okay. Where we're going, we don't need grenades. So I'm gonna go in this big ass room, and then I'm gonna go to the third floor, because I think maybe that's where I need to go. It might connect, or I might get the key, or whatever that I need. Because it's the Resident Evil way, you know? It's just how it goes. Go up an additional floor. I don't even know if I can, actually. What happens if I go in here? Does this go up or down? Please go up. Simon says go up. Yeah! Alright, and then I think maybe this way. Oh, please, oh, please. No. There's like another door over here. Might be this way. If it's not, you know, I might just, you know, just goon and go to bed. As you do. I think I might be onto something. Let him cook, let him cook, let him cook. Turn on the fucking power. Actually, let me check the map even. That says Solarium. Oh, so this is solar? Solarium? Solarium sounds like a sci-fi horror movie I haven't seen. Like Solaris, but less of a downer. Is that it? Sorry. Like I said, this is kind of important. Oh, click. Click, click, boom. I feel like it's gonna try to attack me. But fine, don't. Look at that ammo. Oh, yeah. Cool. That's fine. Now I know, though. There's herbs over there.
What is these places?
There's no way I'm getting in that. Yeah, dude, you're just asking for some sort of infection. What do they call it? Stillwater? Not Stillwater. The gross. It's like kind of a trend now, as far as like, you know, like everybody acts like an idiot. Like, oh, liminal space is so fucking terrifying. Well, there's this thing that you see where it's like there'll be like an abandoned building or whatever, and on the bottom floor there's like flooded water, but it's so still. It looks creepy, almost like you can stand on it, and it is teeming with bacteria. Like you're just asking them to die if you go in there. That's what that looks like to me. It's not working. Oh, okay, I gotta untangle it. I don't think this is how electronics work, but well, I know. What's more than this? I did it my way. Regrets. I've had a few. Then again, too few to mention. A lot of custom parts now. Tight. Just purify it with a button. Let's go into this purified water. I think that's how that works, dude.
Filtration's gonna take a while.
Filtration's gonna take a while.
I'll come back later.
I wanna come back later. I'm here now. Hang out later. I have to go to bed. Bitch. Oh shit. Oh, where'd that come from? So I mean, that water's purifying, but like now what? I have to like leave and then just come back right now? Can I come back right now? Talk to me, Goose. Talk to me, Parker. Head for the bilge. Like, do you just need to reload? You bet your ass I'm going right back in there. Well, okay, I have that key. Let me see what else is locked on the map first. But I am curious if this is gonna work or not. Caught a Pidgey! Alright, yeah. Fine. Oh shit, there's more. And I come back and they think these are gonna be the shooty shoot guys. The ones that like shoot their shit at me. Did I not scan you? Or did, wait, can I farm scans here? Shit, I think I can actually. Nice, because I for sure scanned those guys the first time I was here. I didn't realize loads would reset that. Noted. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. Going the long way. I'm sorry, everybody. Oh yeah, map. So weapon box, but I don't need you. What I need. How do I get back over there though? Crew quarters. Like, I'll go. Oh, that can't be opened yet. Can I open that? Where the fuck do I go? There's this room, but I don't remember how to get there. And if you look here, it's literally locked. And this is the casino, right? Is this the casino? It is the casino. I can't go through the casino. So would I... Could I... go higher? Can I go to the fucking observation deck? I don't know if I can. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I know I'm zigzagging. Sorry, all one of you. Maybe not. Maybe that's where this... That's where the, elevator comes in handy. I can see it now. What the fuck, bro? Like, I have an elevator, but it's not like that Willy Wonka shit. I can't just go over here and then teleport over there. But I've been to the crew quarters before, so how do... I have to go to the casino. But there's no power to get through. Telling me. Went to the foredeck. Bro. I go to the cafeteria again. Like, I don't have the key card. Go this way. Point. Everything's locked on this side of the fucking ship. I don't know. Tell you what. I think it's saved. I hope it's saved. Because I'm gonna raid out. I'm a little EP. And I just don't feel like wandering around at midnight right now. So I think it's a decent spot to call it. It's quick quit. Doing it. Okay. Who is live? Who is live actually? We got Vintage Potato, lovely streamer. She's playing Inferior Worlds. We're ghost hunting, alien hunting, and hunting down. We got lovely Montana. We got Rin. 3 cosplays. I mean, ideally, I'd like to rate somebody that doesn't fucking need it. Well, everybody I said they have like at least like 20 viewers right now, so they're fine. Lisa 2 is adorable. She's playing Minecraft. Skyday's playing the Boba Tea Shop. Horror indie game? Also has 61 fucking. Yeah, let's rate Lovely Montana. She's lovely. This is her name. You guys will love her if you guys already know. This work, or do I have to? Yeah, I have to do it here. I have to do it in OBS or Twitch. All right, y'alls. I had fun. This game is cool. But yeah, it's too late, and I don't want to spend my last day of PTO tomorrow just sleeping, which is what I'll do if I don't stop and go to bed now. So, everybody, thank you for hanging out. I like my shirt. And have a good one. I love you all. Okay, that's a all right. Love you. Bye.